Bada bing, bada boom.
We're
We just
back.
got back and we can't leave our rooms.
Stop.
That was really good.
Oh my god.
Okay, who's gonna recap last time?
Angst.
Okay,
Yeah,
my
a lot
eternal
of it.
question: where do we start?
Oh, we got attacked in the night.
Right. Yes. We got attacked in the night.
Yeah.
Was a handful of gnolls. Some fleshy, some not. Some with very good stealth rolls.
Yeah.
And we dealt with it at the very least. Mainly playing a bit of turtle with the tent, dome, whichever. And then afterwards, Angst has Kane and Alsana had a nice little one-sided, but Kane was certainly feeling the other side shouting match.
What was that?
Yeah, Kane never shouted, but he did get an internal monologue that was of incredible volume.
Yeah, exactly. Like physically, he didn't shout, but there was a shouting match.
Yes.
After that, got to the next morning. There were 3 crows. Alsana talked to them. They were nice. Weren't the most helpful, but she gave them some beads, and hopefully they will remember us, as those kinds of birds tend to do. So I would be so happy. And then we came across a tribe of orcs. We didn't immediately go into combat. They seemed somewhat willing to not stick our heads on pikes because of said crows being was it crows or ravens, actually?
Crows, I believe.
Alright.
They were-
Because of 3 crows being a sign of an omen of some sort.
Good omen.
Yep. Then things were smoothed over further with Kane being at least partially bloodkin.
Yes.
Basically, they described that they're looking for, they said 2 outcasts who were dealing with like fiendish deals, and they were trekking them off to the north, and we basically end up in a situation where, hey, we'd be happy to help you with this and to, guarantee stuff, and they seemed to trust in us enough that we had some quality of skill from the dead gnolls and other stuff. And in return, they were willing to point us in the directions of, for one, the witch, who we have some business with, and 2, the larger area they're aware of, collection of abandoned ruins. And so we trekked over northward, found them in like an abandoned little, like, not castle, but I don't know, fort? A place with walls.
Yeah,
a
some
little
kind
bit of a ruined remains of a tower.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah.
And go, oh, there's more than 2. Jolly good. So a more proper combat breaks out. Many things happening. Alsana is guardian of nature. No, nature's wrath.
Quickly impressed by Calda.
Wrath of nature. Wrath of nature.
Yes.
Proceeded to offer good support, and then Calda proceeded to explode,
Yeah.
as usual. And then we kind of killed the last one. No casualties on our side, although there was one orc who's a bit knocked out. And I think that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And we were
As
sitting down to take a rest.
Was there something that Alsana wanted to do right after we ended it? Remember you mentioning something about it?
Oh, she did the medic on the KO'd orc.
Right, okay.
I meant to patch him up.
yes, So Jaruk is now patched up and a little bit surprised to be alive, but pleased.
Okay, we'll kind of to the orc lady whose name I'm trying to remember. Howling Plain. Orc. Vola. He'll go up to Vola.
Mhm.
And kind of nod to her and be like, "Your wounds are taken care of, I hope."
Ah, these are nothing. You held yourself well. Your
Strong
allies
arm,
as well.
Yes, they're more impressive than they seem at first.
Huh.
What is the state of your weapons? Do they need repair? I do have some skill in that matter.
She kind of twists her longsword and it catches the light overhead as it is currently about noon. And she looks it over and says, "No, this blade has taken far worse. It is unhurt." She sheathes it.
Good. Do you claim any of the spoils of those we killed, or may I take what I wish?
There rarely are spoils on these. If you can find anything of value, take it.
My thanks. And he'll kind of clap Alaris on the shoulder and be like, "Let's go pick some corpses clean."
Sure.
And they'll kind of, like, he'll investigate around, see what he can find in the bodies.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an investigation check.
Yep.
Okay. Elaris, do you want to do one as well?
Investigation?
You were invited, so if you'd like to look around, you can.
Yeah, I'll do an investigation check.
A side note, should I have rolled a medicine check for that orc?
Um.
Wait, never mind. I can't fail.
Yeah. No,
Never
we're
mind,
just
never-
gonna. I was gonna say we're just since it's an ally NPC and not part of the party, we're just gonna say you're fine.
Alright, does anyone else need any patching up real quick?
No,
Okay.
okay. Like 5 damage.
Yeah, it took like 10.
Well, okay. I can just max out your hit die.
I think I can heal no matter what.
No, if you have a spare, just so I can just put it up back to max.
Hold on, I'll do a medicine for Balda.
And I get to rest, so I get my action surge back. Fuck yes.
Oh,
Do I get my
sounds so
device?
nice.
Do I get my channel divinity? Oh, I do.
For short rest?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get everything back.
Yep. Are you planning on spending any hit dice?
1.
Alsana's going around offering medicine checks to max it out.
Sure.
Can I put
Oh,
a limit on
never
how
mind.
many?
10.
Well,
Up to 6, so yeah, she's fine.
Kane wasn't even gonna ask for it. He's so on. I think he has like a scratch on his arm, and like that's it basically.
Yeah, he's not
Yeah,
getting
he's
he's not
not
getting
getting
Neosporin for a goddamn paper cut.
Got some
Yeah,
rock
exactly.
burn.
Yeah, basically. Like a bruised knuckle, like a paper cut.
He's got a bruise on his forehead from him headbutting someone.
You know
Just
what?
remember who.
Now that I look at Vola, she is pretty banged up.
Yeah,
Because I
was gonna
just
say,
remembered she
taking
took a
ton of
crit.
damage.
Yes, she took some heavy hits. She is banged up. She might consent to some aid for her and her men.
Assuming Elsana's passive just like glances over, she'll just like tap on the shoulder and just like spin a needle between 2 fingers.
She looks at that needle, she looks at you, she looks down at like this heavy gash in her shoulder that she's kind of been holding shut with a wad of cloth over it.
It's just, also kind of like
Just
cringes at it.
sighs.
It's just like, I will do much better work.
Sits down and takes the cloth away.
Think me a seamstress of the flesh.
Hmm.
Can I just have a roll medicine to see like how well she patches like a pretty bad thing up?
You just want to flex on that number, don't you?
A bit, yes, but
Go ahead.
I'm just curious if it's like if she can get like no scar or what.
Yeah, go ahead.
How dare you remove her scars?
31. You're fairly certain that you've stitched it up cleanly enough and well enough, along with your other wounds, that scarring will be minimal, if non-existent.
Okay.
I assume Kane and Lars don't punch it.
No.
Yeah, not with a 6 and a 2. I'll say that you come across like 2 copper pennies in a little bit of the underbrush.
Alright, works for me.
Can I get a quick, like, physical description of the
one.
Tanaru?
Okay. They look like they were orcs once. However, they are twisted. They are oversized almost. They stand even taller than Vola, and Vola is tall. They've got some. Their teeth seem rougher. Perhaps stronger. They're. They don't have skin so much as hides in a strange way. It's incredibly tough, and from various points there are almost protrusions, as if they were developing horns or scales, in a sense.
Can she take a few skin samples for alchemy? Of the tough hide.
Probably.
So.
I'm not gonna have you roll. It's not a difficult thing. You're able to kind of cut away a few, like, small square samples of skin.
D4 or
Call it a d6.
3?
Yep. You get 3 decent skin samples. Whether you want some of the slightly softer bits still, or whether you want the really tough, almost bony thorn sections.
How do you spell Tanaruk?
Tanarukk.
I was wondering. I expected it to, like, double up on a letter somewhere.
Yeah, there was one. I just couldn't remember for a moment if it was the U or the K.
3 Tanaruk. Alright.
While Asana's doing this patching everyone up, he's gonna kind of call over Alaris and call it at the same time for a second.
What? And Cold's gonna run over.
What is it?
You, Alaris. While I respect your choice that you are skilled with your weapon, your defensive stance is terrible, and Calda is the best trained here with a great sword. And I kind frankly, you need the advice.
He's gonna roll his eyes and walk off.
I'm gonna grab him by the shoulder and go, I'm trying to help keep you from getting stabbed. I know you're pretty good at getting stabbed and not getting killed, but it hurts me to watch you use a great sword when you keep your ribs open like that.
Stop being so fucking condescending about it, at the very least.
I am trying to teach you, good sir.
Shut up then.
Bastard. Here. Take a swing at me, I'll show you what I mean.
God damn it.
Oh,
Look,
the
Of
one
course.
time,
Can
the
you
one time that you
Oh, come on.
to prove him
Kane's
wrong.
not being condescending here, he is trying to help Lars. Kane's just gonna like dip to the side and just like slap him on the ribs and just be like, you're overswinging. I just want to make sure you don't get hurt by using this, that's all. You're not specifically trained with close quarter combat.
You'll kill your shoulders.
Is that John dipping?
Yeah, probably.
For just an instant, but he is back. John,
Okay.
you there?
John?
Oh, we might have lost him. He's in the chat, but
He's been having internet issues for a bit.
yeah, technology. Okay, can't hear us. Give him a second.
I guess in the meantime, if I may fill time, Alsana will pull open the Netty book.
Okay. You find a nice, somewhat. Shade is hard to come by with the sun almost directly overhead, but you manage to tuck yourself kind of underneath the stairs just so you can open up the book and the sunlight will not just reflect off the white pages and nearly blind you. If you've ever, like, pulled open a notebook outdoors.
Yep.
So you're able to kind of tuck yourself away and crack it open, pull out a pen. Again, the page is blank, aside from your earlier, like, sign-off scribble and the heart at the very bottom.
she'll just write in a hello. How are you?
The response comes, worried. Are you near the hag?
We do approach, yes. We're in the plains, at the very least.
There's a pause, and then the words come quickly. I need you to promise me something. Keep me safe, defend me from danger. Don't tell the hag about me. I don't know what she might still be able to do to me, or what she might do or say to get me from you. Promise me.
Redson, by all means, I promise.
Okay.
And then there's a pause on her and just... If I see an opportunity that I can be certain on, would you have me take a few risks?
It comes back. I would rather you didn't. She cannot be trusted.
She writes in, just like, as a witch myself, I understand that. There's almost like a little, like almost like a tongue out, or something that indicates she's kind of joking.
Mm-hmm. I'll say you can draw like a little round smiley face with the
With a witch hat.
with a little witch hat, sure. She'll write back, your friends, they know of me?
I gave them a brief description. Couldn't really go out of my way on my own for this.
Could you ask them the same promise?
You got it.
I love the little line of emojis now in the game chat, thank you. Yes.
Amazing.
Sure. I forgot what I was going to say.
In that case, the next words that come almost hesitantly. It may be too late, but I can trust you to do as I ask here. Can't I?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I just worry.
It's understandable. I mean, you haven't even properly seen me, have you?
No.
Can't judge facial expressions, anything of the sort.
I think you have honest handwriting.
I appreciate it.
It's all I can judge.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Yeah.
so let's write in. If I may be a bit, blunt.
Oh my god, I love the witch hat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, that, I think you have to add a space between the hat and the eyebrows, perhaps.
Fuck you, right?
Oh my god.
Or do you
I'm
like
sorry,
the
I'm
flat eyebrows or
I'm
something?
critiquing the emojis in the chat, they're wonderful. Sorry, Elsana was gonna add one more thing.
Yeah, just... I might well be the best chance you get.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I need to not look at that screen. There's a response that is simply, I know. I owe you some stories after this.
Agreed.
It's a deal. And then just a little, like, a mimic of your smiley face.
Just at the end. If it's any consolation, I like books more than people, so you're quite above most.
You hear in the deepest parts of your soul, fucking nerd!
This appears in the book. No, it doesn't. The words kind of wipe off the page, but leave the little smiley faces behind.
And just Wish us luck, and she closes it.
Okay.
And Alsana glances over to the shit fit currently going on across the courtyard.
Yep, as Kane is currently poking and prodding at Ilaris, who I assume looks rather grouchy. John, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Kit's just explaining, like, I know you don't like being told what to do, but I genuinely do just worry for your safety. So please, for the love of God, raise your left elbow a little bit higher.
Can you
Your
just
shoulder's gonna hurt like a bitch in the morning if you do that.
just let me fucking learn at my own pace, Kane? I don't need this right
I
now.
just don't want you to get stabbed.
I don't care if I get stabbed.
See, now you're sounding like me, and that's never.
I don't want you to get stabbed too much.
Let me learn at my own pace, please. I don't.
Alright. I'm just saying, if you
I don't need you. I don't need you being all passive aggressive. Oh, your stance is bad. Fuck off. Don't.
I will have you. I will have
Don't.
you know, Alaris. If I'm gonna be aggressive, I'm never passive. You would know if I was being aggressive. That being said, I'll
don't
leave you alone. But if
need
it
your
is a sparring
snarky
partner,
comments,
I will
Kane.
help. King kind of like looks to Calder like, I don't know how to explain I'm not being snarky. Can you help?
I think we should just let him do it on his own and then wait for him to come to us? I don't think he's being snarky. I've seen him try and kill someone.
Is Alsana hearing any of this? I have curiosity.
Probably.
Probably towards the tail end of it.
Alright.
It's a small courtyard.
Yeah, she might stroll up and just. I assume Alaris walked off.
Yes.
She'll just kind of like tap him on the shoulder as he's walking, and she catches up with him.
Oh god, not another one. What?
He's full of shit, you know. He absolutely does get passive aggressive.
Yeah.
It's
Got
just
that.
he just kind of holds his tongue sometimes, so he doesn't get, outwardly. If I had to guess, I would think it's, in the way that, well, I'm not too happy that you're aping my aesthetic, and she kind of like flicks his nose jokingly.
Yeah.
He might be, he might feel challenged that someone is swinging out a greatsword with such little prior experience and still doing fairly decent. Might feel the need to still put himself at top. Assure himself that he's still above you. You never know.
Yeah. He knows I can learn at my own pace, right?
And you're swinging with a different something.
Yes.
It's not learned and it's not thick-skulled strength. It's... You're given gifts by our mutual friend,
Yes.
who still isn't returning my calls.
That's a him thing.
Yes, I know. He might just be, well, a bit too daft to understand that you don't learn the same way.
Yeah. Suppose you have a point.
I think you're almost overestimating him in being truly condescending. I would hope that all the stuff I've done up until this point would have set the bar a bit higher.
Fair enough.
And for what it's worth, you don't really have to care about him when I'm sure your son will think you're the coolest thing ever swinging that sword around.
I suppose you're right. And there's like a smile that goes on his face. It's just like, you have a point there.
And I can patch you up if you get stabbed. Which, I mean, is an inevitability, right?
Yeah.
I take shots and I'm actually 3 feet beside you and flying up in the air.
Yeah.
Shall we get going then?
I suppose so.
Alsana like looks over to the other two and it's like, are you lot ready to go?
Look at the orcs. You all ready to move? Kind of glancing at the one who was downed earlier.
We are entirely ready. they say,
Nice.
in Orcish, so that you understand.
He kind of nods back and goes, I think we're good to go. Now, you guys don't think there's anything valuable at this tower, do you?
No, this tower is dead stone. Nothing here for us.
Very well. Turn back to Asana, like, everyone's all ready to go?
Alright.
Let's make some dust.
Do they intend to head off anywhere on their own, or they after they lead us?
I'm sure they'll let us know once they do.
I'm asking you to ask them, Gain.
I understand you, Vola says.
She looks over. It's like, oh, didn't see you there. Sorry.
We guide you to Hag. Then we go home. Perhaps with him, if he willing. And she points at Roy.
Kind of like, ugh. Like, you know that cartoon, like, shock that
Don't-
goes up the body?
Don't worry. We won't keep him too long.
I don't know what I prefer at this point. And about the, large collection of ruins.
Ah, yes. We can guide you there, assuming which does not kill you.
Right, so, would you be willing to camp a ways away from our meeting with her?
We will part ways with you nearby. And then we will circle around to different location and camp.
Right.
We
and-
should get there around sunset.
And she'll basically just ask for, like, rough directions, since her survival's pretty decent.
We will give once we're close. Cannot miss it.
Yep. Not even right now, just, like, at some point she wants to get, like,
Okay.
yeah, just not fully in-depth, just like, oh yeah, over by this landmark, over here, you go past this river, or whatever.
Yep. Of course. You get assured that this will be done. Everybody picks up. They don't have anything to pack. They just get up, kind of dust themselves off, stretch a little bit, and start heading out the broken rubble of the tower and back down the slope you came up just over an hour ago. Roy kind of comes over and says, well, won't be sorry to leave this place behind. Bit of a dump. As he cheerily walks out after your guides. Alsana, you hear the faintest, distant, dissonant echo of a whisper. Kind of that sensation of, oh, was that my name being called? And you turn around, but nobody has called your name in the hallway. You just kind of, perhaps your ear caught something and your brain played tricks with it.
Kane's just gonna grab Roy by the back of the shirt and like drag him towards him for a second.
Oh,
Sorry, I was going to speak to you for a moment.
I was keeping an eye on this just in case it goes violent.
I'm surprised. Didn't
I
think.
know.
Well, I'm all ears.
Let me just take a few steps back, just out of respect for our guides over here. He's gonna kind of separate just enough that he's not in absolute earshot of all the orcs.
You guys are technically walking and on the move, but you're able to kind of draw back into the side just a little.
Okay, guys. I'm trying to make peace here with you. So let me just be clear, because I realize I tend to be too assumptive in what you understand from me. The reason I'm trying to help you with these tribes is that they welcome your kind of philandering. Doing it there doesn't lead to people being injured, as long as those who you spawn remain in the tribe. Don't do like you did with me. Don't try to smuggle them out, or whatever it was you did. If you do create something.
I never did.
Why did you take me out of the tribes?
Your mother gave you to me.
Why?
He looks a little, actually a little bit awkward. You have to understand, you were born a little small. A little...
I was the runt, you can say it.
Not in my eyes, but
Not in
for
your eyes, but I
them.
meant my siblings. I understand.
For their preferences, standards, they thought that you would not grow up strong, and, well, their mistake, obviously. He kind of gestures loosely towards you.
Oh.
They misjudged. And
Yeah,
so, your
didn't.
mother, rather than just. You have to
didn't
understand.
misjudge. Without...
I'd say they did.
You say this now. If I had been led along the standard orcish life, I would have been a burden, yes. Continue.
Well, there's not much to really continue. I was still kind of. We were still in contact. I wasn't actually living with the tribe. I had Alsana. I was back in Tanagar. But rather than, well, keep you and, as you said, make you a burden on the tribe, and rather than just leave you to the wilds, your mother showed up on my doorstep one night, handed me a bundle, and told me that your name was good. And then she left.
Alright. In that case, if something similar happens again, do me a favor and either bring me the child, or bring it to Calda. Or Aunt Adelaide. Don't make another me. It's not worth it.
Oh, I'm not gonna be. Well,
You can't say that with any certainty, whatever the hell it was you're about to kind of spew in front of me. You will try not to, I'm sure. You'll probably get lost up in some moment, act like a dumbass, create another one like you have for years.
no, what I mean, what I meant is they might have a little trouble finding me, but if that's very important to you, then I can ask if they can get in contact, send word somewhere.
Sure,
If they-
I live in the Moormarsh, it's fine.
Alright, well, near enough. I'll tell them if they don't think something is up to standard to send the child that way.
Now my second point that I want to make abundantly clear to you. This tribe and this culture is fine with what you do. Others are not. I hope you keep that into consideration with your future activity. And yes, this is a threat.
Would you believe me if I told you that all of those activities were consented to? I realize
Yes,
it
I'm talking-
probably doesn't matter.
I'm talking
but
about the
to you,
creation of a
but-
child.
Ah. You know, you can't always plan that.
But you can plan around it.
Oh, you can try,
You
but
have a wonderful amount of magic that many would be blessed to have. If you can't figure out some way to use that to find information, if not fix the problem itself, then that's your responsibility on your part, and you're making people's lives more difficult through your laziness.
go ahead and roll persuasion, I think.
It is not great.
He just kind of nods along with you, but you see in his eyes he doesn't really look like he's taking it firmly to heart.
Yep. He kind of just sighs, and you're free to make your own choices as an adult.
I can't be blamed for an accident of life.
Yes, you can.
Not entirely.
But enough that you can be blamed. Two people can both be blamed for a murder doesn't make you guilty just because you were half of the problem. Taking a life and creating a life, you can be just as guilty. And I'm not asking you to care about what I'm saying. I'm asking you to care about your own skin, because I repeat, this is a threat. if you make more of me, or more anything like me, I will hurt you badly. And I will make sure you can never do it again.
Well, I'd rather not create more of those kinds of
Yeah.
threats, so I'll consider myself warned.
Good.
Was there
Let's
anything
continue on the
else?
path. No,
Okay.
I'm done.
You two rejoin the group. Are carrying on roughly southwest. It is a fairly long walk. It's several hours. If anybody else wants to have any conversations, let me know. If not,
Elsana might just, maybe a bit after she like glanced, him and Kane will like walk into the side for a second. Just, so what'd you talk about?
To me or...
To Roy.
Okay.
Roy just gives you a small smile and says, nothing to worry about. He's just making his position clear on a few matters.
That he's going to be unhappy about certain things, I'm guessing.
You could probably see his expression. As a fair guess. Basically, if things don't go brilliantly and this tribe doesn't feel that any contribution from my part is worth the trouble of raising and keeping, he asked to have them send the resulting child off to Moormarsh, to the town of Moor, for him to take care of, or for Adelaide, though frankly my sister probably isn't interested at this point in her life in raising children.
She doesn't
She's
need that.
always been a little bit of a free spirit.
I'm pretty sure he didn't talk to her about that. At least not in the time since we found you. So that's an interesting volunteering he did, but...
I'm supposing you aren't going to add your name to that list.
I don't think so.
I didn't either. But if that is what he prefers, then I'll make sure that they're aware of this request as well.
Just...
I wouldn't worry too much, though. You two seem to have impressed them.
She just kind of slowly nods and... I don't... There's a few good slaps you deserve, absolutely. But Kane is extreme. That's... I feel like you're less of a lost cause than he might think.
Well, at least I have one reasonable child.
That's a loose term, let's say. You owe me a bit to make up for certain missed years. Honesty's a start, but you seem to be tentative on that, at least for now.
Well, what would you like honesty on? I can show you how I've been keeping an eye out for the hag, which, actually I'm gonna have to use it once we get close again anyway.
She raises an eyebrow. Go on.
He pulls out what looks like a gem set in a metal circle attached to a stick. Kind of like a monocle on a handheld opera glasses stick. And kind of spins it between his fingers so it catches the light and throws refracting rays in every direction briefly.
Give an Arcana check. Has she seen or heard of anything like this before?
You can give an Arcana check, but he is just about to tell you what it is, so let's see if you simultaneously realize. 17. Yeah, you actually went hunting in your shopping trip for one of these. But you did not manage to find one in Veravale. As he shows you and tells you that it is a gem of seeing.
I was looking for one of those.
Huh. They're not the rarest thing in the world, but they can be tricky to come by. I had to search quite a bit to get this one, but it was worth it.
Don't suppose wherever you got it had some spares in the back.
Not that I know of. But, frankly, if anything decides to go invisible and try to sneak up on us, or ethereal, or as the case may be, as long as I happen to be using this at the time, which is the tricky part, then I should be able to see them coming.
Would that include, a little magical object of spying?
It would.
Then you know to keep out for them.
But I've been, kind of doing a little bit of a scan around camp more night, and I've saved up a charge for once we get close.
Sounds reasonable. I'm wondering if it's worth me giving a glance in towards her.
I'm not sure I would if I were you. She's got something of a knack for that sort of thing, I believe.
I suppose, but par for the course, she's probably going to do something similar to us. I've heard talk she just knows things. But I think her not omniscient.
Oh, I wouldn't say she's omniscient by any means, but she's knowledgeable.
Well, I like to think myself as well. Any tricks or tips? Does she rely on a spellcasting focus?
Let's see. Does she? She has a black gem that she carries on a iron chain around her neck. I don't know if it's her spellcasting focus, but there seemed to be something magical about it, if I remember. Assume that everything in her home is likely magical or enchanted. Sometimes it's not, but she likes to have fairly innocuous looking things that might do give surprising results.
I'll be sure to keep an eye out, and she kind of taps the side of her forehead beside her eyes. I can at least see things that are magical.
Don't assume that magic will work on her. She's good at resisting it. But aside from that, I can't really say that I tested her combat abilities. I relied on other talents to get out.
Right.
And no, I did not go there, if that's what you're thinking. I was simply very charming and very likable.
So you were having the carrot at the end of the stick, so to say.
Not quite that overt, but somewhat.
Honestly, judging by the way you've talked about her previously, I would think such overtness.
She's horrible, and frankly, I
You're
could just about have
uncomfortable.
nightmares.
You're very uncomfortable about it.
You'll understand when you see her.
Oh, it's good to know even you have limits.
Now, I don't know if she has a type or anything, but my apologies to your friend Alaris. If so, she might go for the dark hair. I'm uncertain.
I will warn him. Distinctly so. How is she physically? Did you get any thoughts on that?
Hideous. As usual.
Physical capabilities, let's say.
Well, she looked like she had claws. I don't know if it was an illusion or actual shape change, but she took on the appearance, occasionally, of a normal humanoid. Ordinary woman. Very attractive, to be honest, but I couldn't really forget the actual appearance once I'd seen it.
Does she have a large hat?
Not that I saw.
That's no fun.
Very long, ragged hair, though. Dark.
There's like a small twitch on her face, like, that's so. Is there
Face that could curdle milk. Couple horns on the side of the head.
any horns on the side of the head?
Not proper tiefling horns. These were fairly small. And he kind of sketches a little backwards hook shape next to and above his temples.
Based on these descriptions he's given, does Asana know anything other than just general, like, hag witch?
Go ahead and give a nature check.
Right, she'll guidance herself as she thinks on it.
Okay.
25.
Alright. Something about the horns is kind of making you wonder if there's something other than just the normal Fae style hag characteristics coming through. You do start to think of various things, and him saying tiefling also makes you think of this, maybe a fiend style hag. And you do recall there is one kind of hag that does have fiendish influence. It is called a night hag. And I'll say on a 25, Roy's worry about invisible or ethereal attacks from this hag suddenly make a lot of sense, as you're aware that these hags are capable of going a little ghostly.
Invisibility or ethereal?
Ethereal. They're known for giving nightmares. Hence the name.
Alright. That's something to look out for.
I'm gonna say, if nothing else, don't spend the night.
Yep. She's just thinking, it's like, I've read on this type. Old book back at the library. She has fiendish influence to her. You're not too far off with the tiefling. She'll definitely not be a pushover. So, okay, I guess out of character then. Would she know if she's considered like a fiend explicitly, or just has fiendish influence?
on a 25,
For terms of like
Yeah,
spell
she-
effects and stuff.
she would be considered a fiend rather than a fae. You know that hags are pretty much never considered humanoids. There's always something else.
And she just thinks on that for a sec. Nods. And goes, oh, actually, one more thing. Would she be considered native to this plane?
He shrugs. I wouldn't know.
Would Elsana know?
Frankly, I'm not sure. Because of the fiend thing. I know what you're thinking. I am uncertain. Yeah, let's go ahead and, let's say it's a 50-50 chance.
Alright. And she just nods like, well, it's good to have knowledge armed. Wish us luck then.
Oh, I do. I certainly do. And, honestly, I'd prefer it if she didn't know I was here. I think I might have mentioned this before, just to be certain.
I'm getting a lot of that from people who've dealt with her before.
Yeah, kind of makes you wonder, huh?
I mean, if I can use you as a bargaining chip...
I'd very much prefer you did not.
She's giving this, like, shitty grin.
He looks very serious about it. Little nervous.
I've been talking, it's good to practice honesty. Don't you trust me?
He kind of gives you a grimacing smile. Of course, why wouldn't I?
Don't touch your face with that expression now. She kind of, like, pats the side of his head.
He takes it, and faces forward and continues to walk.
She will head over to Calda and leave it over and go, so I think the hag might be a fiend.
So something we're gonna beat the shit out of, yeah?
So from my understanding of how your explosion of radiant face smashing works,
Yeah, it kicks ass for undead and fiend.
she nods.
Oh,
So maybe save up for her. I wouldn't be surprised if she threw other stuff at us, but might be worth it. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if she can do invisible. She's more on the ethereal, but keep the lantern handy.
yeah. Just wondering. Maybe the lantern will work. We'll figure it out. I have some oil on hand. We're fine. We're fine. We're fine.
She nods. And are you able to check the presence of things like fiends within our radius?
Sometimes, but it's like not huge. It's not like your mile thing that you do when you talk to the plants and all that shit. That's really cool, by the way. Love
Right.
to see what they're thinking.
Yeah.
But
More
I
of a 30
can-
feet? 30?
60.
60. Oh. How often can you do it?
Like 3 times before I sleep.
Hmm.
Pretty good.
I have the 30 feet at will. She gives a little grin.
Maybe if we're getting close, I'll start the 60, and then if we really get close, then your 30 goes off, and then you zoom up into the air, and we can figure that out.
You know what, actually, and she'll just, like, tap the unicorn horn on her belt and cast Detect Good and Evil.
Oh.
Just give a glance around.
Alright. What's the range on that again? Was it
30
your
feet.
30 feet?
Yep.
Alright. You're not picking up on anything in 30 feet.
Yep. Aberration, Celestial, Elemental, Fey, Fiend, or Undead.
You've got the Celestial of Mori. Nothing else as far as I
The dog.
recall. You boofed the dog away before you went into the fight.
Did I boof him? No, I made him go over there. I didn't boof him.
Oh, I misunderstood.
I made him
Alright,
vibe out in
alright.
the corner.
Okay. So yes, the dog is there as well.
So
That's what I named the dog.
It was something very close to Mori.
Monty?
yeah,
Is it
Morty.
Morty.
Mordecai?
Mordecai.
Mordecai.
I was saying.
Mordecai. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Monty was fucking Saturday.
Monty was
wrong?
Conrad's character's pet snake we gave him in Monday.
I'm not in that campaign.
Long ago.
Do you know why? Do you know why it was Monty?
Monty
Monty
Python.
Python.
Was the best.
Yep.
Fuck you.
Yep.
We all know.
Alright. I didn't know if you knew the full thing.
What's Mordecai's full name? Fuck.
Oh, actually, hey everyone. You know what that
Hi.
Hoyle? You know that holy oil we got works against.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. Wow, I wish I could see chat logs, but I got some self rolls. And...
Hmm.
Not mine.
Well, it's in the recording.
I put it in chat.
I have holy oil and holy water, yeah.
That's gonna be fun.
So I'll just coat that on whatever I decide to roll with.
Was it like an hour before?
Yeah, it's a. I think it's an action to apply in an hour.
It's a minute to apply.
It's a minute to apply. Yes.
Either one melee weapon or 5 pieces of ammunition.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Put it on a grade.
So-
axe, probably.
So when we're within 30 minutes, maybe.
Okay.
Are we fighting for sure then?
I'm saying it wouldn't be a bad idea to fully prepare for it.
Yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
Well, I was buy more whole arrow at that point.
We could.
Maybe keep the
Could be.
water just in case. I don't think she's gonna be the only thing we come across that it works against.
Yeah, I still got the water on my side, and Cole will just pat her belt.
Alright. Anything else? I don't think so. She just gives a brief go over of everything she knows about them, about night hags as well. And it's like, don't fall asleep. Anyone been having nightmares recently?
No.
Nothing unusual.
Polaris?
Mm-hmm.
Nightmares recently?
Not really, no.
One's not associated with your standard fare.
No.
I just assume, really.
Nothing really out of the ordinary.
Alright.
He puts air quotes around ordinary.
Okay. Well,
Alright.
we'll continue on then.
Alright. As the day grows later, from the sun lower towards the horizon, it is getting a little uncomfortably warm as summer is progressing. Especially in the plains, there is relatively little shade. There's the occasional little copse of trees casting shadows down, but for the most part, you are walking through grasslands and shrubs and brush under a very direct baking sun. However, you soldier onward behind the guiding party of orcs, who bring you to a place near a curve of the river. And they point up towards a little, somewhat hilly section of land and a rising promontory, not too far from the riverbank itself. And on top of this, almost ridge, you see a winding, snaking path going up it. And at the very peak, somewhat better preserved and somewhat smaller than the last tower ruin you came across. Another tower, built of darker stone. It still has that crumbled appearance, and it seems to be almost half sheared off. Not a clean cut, but as if time crumbled it away from the top until there's only 2, maybe 3 floors worth of walls still standing, and the uppermost of those are really just the remains of a wall on one side, dropping down towards the front. You see very faintly the skeletal remains of some trees. From this distance, you don't see any creatures or movement in particular, but there are bare rocks, and somehow the shadows seem deeper around that tower as the sun is starting to sink, and almost it seems that the rise of the land is casting shadow upwards onto the tower itself, in a way. And they tell you, Vola tells you, this is as far as we will go with you. Any further, your business is your own. You see where to go, you see the path.
Appreciate it.
If you live, you will find us further west and south. We will make a camp. There is a copse of trees that we know of. Sheltered. Fairly safe. If you are not back by morning, we will assume the worst and carry on.
We'll see you then.
I hope
May
your drink
fortune-
keeps you safe.
May fortune favor you in your dealings. She says in Orcish specifically to Kane, so he can translate if he wishes to the rest of the group.
He does, and he returns with, and may whatever sign takes you somewhere next be just as generous.
We can hope. And they ways. Roy lingers a little bit at the back. Looks towards Kane and Alsana. Nods to Elaris and Calda as well and says, well, good luck. Yeah. Don't let her eat you, or trick you, or swindle you out of your life and soul.
Okay.
You'll be fine. What am I saying?
Of course we will. We've been dealing with you for the last few days.
Worst case scenario, we'll offer yours instead. You know, we still got all this life left.
Huh. Yeah, if you do that, I am out of here so fast.
Well, that's kind of the point.
I'll keep to my word at the very least.
Appreciated. Good luck, again. He turns and kind of jogs lightly after the retreating orcs. The path is clearly visible ahead. You see your
Alright.
destination.
Shall we take a moment?
To apply holy oil and stuff.
Think it'd be in order?
Yeah.
Also-
He'll transform. Elaris will transform his thing into a great axe, and apply the holy oil to that.
Calder will put some more oil in the lantern and light her up. Last 6 hours, baby. And holy oil on the greatsword.
Alsana
Nice.
goes into her bag and like whips one of the oil flasks at Kane.
Yep, he catches it. Although I think he'd been given one before already.
Not yet. They were doled out when he was gone.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
mentioned
nothing.
that he would be getting it, but it hadn't been roleplayed yet, so either way.
I just assumed it was done during the
So
long
what
rest.
bonuses
Yeah.
does the holy oil give for against fiends and stuff?
So effectively you have a smite prepped for the next hour.
Okay.
You can do it as you please. It does 2d8 radiant damage against a fiend or undead of your choice.
Cool.
Also, really quick, I'm applying it to ammunition rather than the blade itself.
Okay, mark down what you guys are applying it to. Keep tabs on that.
Yep.
Make sure, if it's ammunition, make sure you count down how many you have left. Once you shoot it, the holy oil doesn't disperse, but you'd have to retrieve that piece of ammunition in order to try and reuse it.
Mhm.
Okay?
Alsana will give a quick detect good and evil.
Calder will divine sense.
Alright. And I will say, for the sake of fairness, because it is expended on a single hit in melee, even though you're applying it to 5 pieces of ammunition, once one of those hits and the smite goes off, the others are null and void. Just for the sake of not being like, oh, I can get 2d8 5 times, as
Yeah,
opposed to just
okay.
once.
I was
If
just
that's-
assuming it was less damage.
2d8 is a little bit harder to cut into smaller damage chunks, unless you want to do like 1d4 per chunk.
I'll leave it up to you. I have no preference.
Let's have it be the single 2d8. Big numbers are fun.
Big
Okay.
numbers, baby.
So, yep. So basically, once you fire it off, all the magic from the oil on all of the arrows you coated is spent all at once, as if it was a single unit. Okay?
Just looking up spells real quick.
All right. Do you guys carry forward?
Yes.
All right. As you begin to approach the rise in the land, the shadows start to envelop you. As the hills around start to cover you from the setting sun. It creates this odd contrast of almost fiery red-orange sunset light and deep near purple shading as the path carries you in dips in the land, curving around hills, between trees that are almost more twig and branch and bark than leaves. Very few leaves that you do see rustle as if dead. Go ahead and everyone go ahead and give me a perception check.
Eyes of the Eagle on.
Okay.
Sonic guidance yourself on this.
I'll say as you're approaching, it's simple enough to think, I better keep an eye out and make the signs. And
We'll send Mori out a little forward for that then.
Okay.
So perception, right?
Yep. We've lost a
23.
roll 20 crash. We've lost a Conrad, it seems, but he typed in roll 20, so
16.
okay, I see. All right. So Kane has an 18, Alaris a 23, Mori gives Calda a 19, and a 16 on Alsana. Okay. As you guys wind your way through this relatively dim lighting, though with everybody having dark vision, it is brighter than it might have been otherwise. Sorry, I'm not great at switching music.
Also, as Keaton just like occasionally pinging detect good and evil.
Okay. What are some of the details on that spell again? Could you copy paste?
30 feet.
But it's like, is it good, rings like a bell, eagle smells bad, or is it specifically just the creature types?
You know if there's an aberration, celestial, elemental, fey, fiend, or undead within 30 feet of you. Yeah, I'll just copy paste.
I just want to be sure that I'm describing things correctly, because I can never remember which one is which with those.
I think it's the paladins that's like it rings or stinks.
Paladin
Okay.
is total cover too, and knowing the type, which is eek. Yeah.
Alright. Similarly, place or object within 30 feet that's been magically consecrated or desecrated. Penetrate most barriers, except da 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 da. Alright. So we're gonna kind of go in order of perception, I think. Top to bottom. Elaris, 23.
Yeah.
Your eyes catch on some of the trees. And you realize that the leaves look and rustle as though they are dead, dry, papery things. But your eyes snag on something that's slightly different texture, slightly different shade of gray-brown. And you see, kind of hanging from a bit of string from one of the tree branches, what looks like a rag doll. Simple cloth. Something stuffed and knotted at the top to make a head, and the rest of the cloth kind of hanging down. It blows slightly in the breeze. Once you've noticed one, your eyes kind of flick over, and in another tree there's another. There's a third over there. There's one that's actually made of sticks and twigs tied together to make various geometric shapes. Not always symmetrical, though. They're often off balance and strange. They kind of twist and turn slightly in the faint wind that comes and rustles the leaves occasionally.
Oh, real quick, sorry.
Mm.
There's something I meant to do, but I forgot. I don't know if she can do this right now, or maybe just bit it. I don't know. Would Alsana know if there'd be any trouble putting the book in the bag of holding?
It's not a living creature.
All right. Then.
However, you don't know what might happen to the book if the hag dies. You don't know if there's magic that needs to be done specifically.
Okay, yeah. Okay,
I'll
good
say
point.
the situation, because of the influence of hag magic, that being occasionally weird and not always following all the rules, it's got just enough unknowns.
Okay.
You could try it if you'd like.
Then could she have instead, maybe just a bit earlier, have basically, with a string or something, tied it to herself under her clothes?
Okay. Yeah. Sure thing.
All right.
Right. You've got it kind of hidden underneath, perhaps, the top of your dress. You're probably not wearing a cloak in this heat.
Yeah, probably not.
So, Elaris, you are picking up on these strange figures that kind of dangle from various twigs and branches in the trees.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on them. They don't seem to be moving on their own or doing anything untoward, but occasionally as you walk, that little bit of movement, of tone difference catches your eye again, and you find your eyes almost drawn to it as you kind of mark out every single one that you spot. Calda, Mori spots these as well and sends information back to you, along with a sense of, I don't like them. I don't like how they move.
I don't like him either, buddy.
I don't like them hanging there. The trees are mine.
Don't get too close, okay?
He kind of hoots inside your mind telepathically, flicks his wings, and gets a slightly broader circle going. I'll say that due to his flight, he circles higher. You're getting close to the bottom of this bluff, but as you start to go up, he flies high, and then dives back down slightly to get within telepathy range, and sends you an image of the tower and the ground at the top. You see through his owly eyes, the path wind and curve, almost like stair steps going upwards. There are a couple of pools of dark, kind of stagnant water, and a crudely built paddock, it seems, and on one side of the tower. There's a kind of a cage, a gibbet, hanging from the tower's side just above it. The fence of the paddock seems to be constructed mostly of thorny brambles, and inside you see through him a horse-like figure, large, dusky gray with odd black patches, with a black bridle and saddle on it. The gibbet is filled with hay. The horse's head droops nearly towards the ground as it stands almost listlessly, And also drooping and trailing on the ground on either side of the horse are 2 wings. It doesn't really look healthy.
Alsana has the detect good and evil going.
You're not that close yet.
Alright,
Called will relay the existence of it to the group.
Alsana will glance over. How far is it right now?
It's up high. It is high up. You guys are just starting the climb.
Okay.
You've probably got a good, 100, 200, 300 feet. It is a lot of back and forth, so it's not necessarily a straight line to it. So it's a longer walk than the direct line would imply. But on a direct line, let's call it 200 feet. So you're not able to sense it yet, even though you're pinging detect good and evil, and we'll get to that in a second.
Sorry.
Yep, Kane. It happens to catch your eye as you're walking along. You're perhaps fall behind somebody, let another party member pass in front of you as you squeeze through some underbrush at a point where the path narrows. You happen to look down, and something about the shadows that occasionally are visible as you pass into a place where the light actually reaches seem unusually gaunt. You know that sundown does stretch shadows out, but something about it seems skinny, almost skeletal.
I'm gonna just kind of like halfway draw the Sword of Thorns out of its scabbard to see if anything strange happens.
Nothing strange happens when you draw the Sword of Thorns specifically, but a moment later, the shadow almost seems to flicker in a way that you glance up and Calda hadn't moved that way. But you glance back down and the shadow seems back to normal.
I called a.
Yeah,
Is that lantern of yours lit?
should be, and Caldwell fiddle with it. And if it's not lit, it should be now.
All right. You cast the light about. It pushes some of the shadows back. You don't pick up on anything invisible.
Caldwell hook it onto her belt.
Seems like light and dark don't react properly around here.
It's
Might
not
be useful to
fun.
keep it on hand. Do you want me to throw it onto my lantern shield, or do you want to use my lantern shield?
I use 2 hands, so you can use that lantern shield all you want. I can see in the dark now, so it just matters of invisible stuff, so you can hold the lantern.
All right. You hook the lit lantern onto the shield.
He still doesn't have the shield equipped. He's still like got his short bow out, but prepared to use a short bow, not like out, but he's ready.
Okay. All right. And Alsana, you're pinging your detect good and evil. And you're not picking up on any creatures of any type detected by the spell, aside from the constant of Mori and Morty that you've come to expect now, called aside. However, as you turn and look about after giving another ping, and this area, it's not quite desecrated, but there is an off feeling about it that comes close to that. Somewhat similar to the sense gained from the Sword of Thorns.
Definitely something off, but not completely like one way.
Mhm.
Alright.
Not completely, but there is a flavor to it. You glance over at one of the trees, and you see something kind of slumped at the base of it. You ping again, and no, there's no living celestial, fey, fiend, undead, etc. But it looks like a person. And moreover, as you as the path brings you a little bit closer, it looks like a familiar person. As you look and see the slumped body of Therastra Dale, your friend from Tanager.
She like stops for a sec. She just like breathes out.
You okay?
Let's keep going. If that's real, I can deal with it later. If not, then it's not.
Okay.
As you walk further,
Actually, you know what? Can she, from here, see if it's an illusion or anything?
you can go ahead and make an intelligence check, I believe is usual.
Alright, she'll switch to a guidance.
Okay.
Yeah. 14.
You peer at it, but it looks pretty solid. Elaris,
Yeah.
a flash of red catches your eye.
Oh.
You glance over, and you see kind of dangling from a tree branch, bent over it across the midsection. You see the body of Aurora, her hair hanging downwards, arms limp.
Can I? Is there any way to discern if this is an illusion or not?
You can make an intelligence check as well.
14.
It looks real.
So that's not
The
passively...
the breeze blows and the hair sways slightly.
No.
Does Alsana notice Alaris is noticing?
Yeah.
Does she see the Aurora body? Like if she can follow, if she follows his line of sight?
No.
Do you see something?
He says nothing and he just keeps walking towards the body of Aurora.
Right.
She'll like grab the back of Lars. What do you see? Because I don't.
It's Aurora.
It's not.
Jeez. Huh?
I saw a body as well. Let's keep in mind, it's
I don't know what's
very
real.
likely not real.
I don't know what is.
But on the even off chance, in that doubt that's in your back of your mind, it is not the thing to deal with right now.
Okay. He grips the great axe a little tighter.
I don't see it. It can't be.
Okay.
It goes for the rest of you. Any corpse you may glance across is meant to waver you and nothing else.
Unless that's part of the trick. We should probably corroborate whatever we see. If two people see the same thing, it's probably real.
That's fine. But we should keep going forward nonetheless. Unless it's something charging at us.
Right. You walk further.
What's our marching order?
Good question. What is your marching order now?
This
You
is pretty.
start file up the path.
Alda's pretty close to the front. Morty is at the back with everyone.
Ken's taking the rear.
You have Doggy.
Also, I'll be by Alaris, probably.
Yeah.
So 2 in the middle, 1 in the front, 1 in the back.
Okay.
Yep, Ken's in the back.
As you're going along in the lead, Calda?
Yeah.
You climb higher, one hairpin turn swings around into another, and just up ahead, You see Rose draped over a boulder.
Oh shit.
It's every nightmare you've ever had.
Cause like just gonna bite at like a skin on her fingers and like look to Alsan and just point in that direction, shaking a little bit.
Alsana shakes her head, puts a hand on her shoulder.
Kane, you
Tricks.
see this though, as you catch up.
It's the same thing.
You see Rose.
Kind of looks and says, "Hey, sorry about that, Alsana. It's not just me, or not just her.
She heard what you said. Let's keep going.
All right.
We all may see something at this point.
How within reach is that body?
It's on a boulder just beside the path. As you walk
He's gonna
past
take
it,
the-
you could.
He's gonna take the infinite snowball and throw it at it.
All right. You don't even need to aim. The infinite snowball throws and against the boulder, and the body just vanishes.
Okay.
It's a good test.
Seems like it.
Like I said, in the ridiculously impossible chance that any of it is real, it's not the thing to prioritize.
I'm more
Right.
concerned with threats that we assume aren't actually there because we assume they're an illusion. The bodies are for fear, yes, but
Well, it's a different
Okay.
story if something has a sword and it's running towards us, Kane. These are meant to waver us.
that's not what I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about someone able to disguise themselves, laying on a boulder waiting for us to walk past, throwing something at the back of our head.
Okay, what would you plan countermeasures against then?
Kills with the snowball. Most illusions aren't physical, if I'm not mistaken.
So you're going to throw a snowball at every rock you see on the off chance it's something. It's an enemy disguised.
I think it's a Mori to peck it.
Yeah, either way, anything that seems unusual.
We'll deal with anything that comes. I'm trying my best to see through these, but they're being difficult.
Well, if you see a snowball target, just
Let's keep going.
Right. You round another hairpin turn, you're getting close to the top. You can see the broken, ragged top of the tower when you glance up over the nearest ridge. You climb higher.
Call's gonna tell Morty just stay there.
Morty flutters down,
No,
and
Morty, dog,
Morty, my bad.
doggy.
You are not helping matters with the names.
Yeah.
Morty is a good boy. You tell him to stay. He kind of
He'll be
nudges your
okay.
hand, looks it, and he sits down in the path and watches you walk.
Bark if anyone else comes up, okay, bud?
Just
Good
his-
boy.
All right. You round the last turn, and you've reached the plateau of this peak. There are still dips, rises, and slight drops in elevation in the ground, but nothing as great as the near cliffs and ridges that you followed the path turning up. You see the tower. There are stones littering the landscape. You see the two pools, stagnant. They smell like rot and still water. There is a set of stone stairs that leads up to the inset door of the tower itself. Over on the side, to your right, against that side of the circular tower's wall, you see the thorny paddock. The Pegasus inside just barely lifts its head and looks at you with glassy dark eyes before dropping his head again.
detect beneath 30 feet.
All right. I believe a Pegasus counts as a celestial. I just need to double
I
check.
think so.
Yeah. Yeah. You may have to walk just a little bit off the path, like one step or the very edge of it, to be within range, but 30 feet, you get a ping of a celestial. But something about it seems almost diseased. The type isn't changed. It still registers. But there's almost a nauseous feeling that accompanies it.
Would Alsana know if Pegasus understand things sometimes? Like speech?
Well, the fact that it's pinging as a celestial and not a beast could be a first clue. Go ahead and do a quick on-the-spot nature check.
Alright. 9.
You're not sure.
She'll just
It doesn't seem to show you much more interest.
kind of say over, not too loud, just we'll be back to help. It's Celestial.
You see an ear flick upwards just a little bit, and the head raises again slightly, and then it droops back down.
She looks to everyone. She probably hears this, and judging by the welcome mat we put out and we were given, I doubt she's here for bargaining purposes. Or expecting it from us. I don't think corpses of loved ones is a way to bridge trust and work for transactions. So,
No, but I'm pretty sure this is defensive. This is to keep people away.
but we're still trudging on, so expect it at any time. We're not going to walk in and find her having tea on a chair. Sana is going to cast with her own spell slot, detect magic.
Okay. Let's have a little copy paste. Click on that if we could, just so I know it's 30 feet. I know that the restrictions apply: a foot of stone, a little bit of lead, so much dirt. I just want to be reminded.
Crap, I hit the spec thing. Alright, there we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Aura foams around objects, creatures you can see, indicating magical. Skull of magic that has one. Okay. Can't detect through a foot of stone, inch of common metal, pseudo lead, foot of wood or dirt. From outside the tower, the magic you detect is largely on your companions and on you, items you have, except for the saddle and bridle on the Pegasus, which glow faintly. If there's any school of magic, it's a really weird blend of twisted enchantment, abjuration, and there's a faint tinge of almost necromancy.
She can well assume that's the source of its suffering.
Probably. From closer up, you can see that not only is it droopy, listless, wings trailing, mane and tail knotted, matted, tangled, its coat is this weird sooty gray, and there are these black patches that almost look like mold, mottled here and there. You can see its ribs when its wing trails behind it as it takes a single unsteady step forward. You could count them. It is almost nothing but skin and bones, and bedraggled feathers. However, there is enough material that would block you from sensing anything if there's anything inside the tower. The walls look thick.
How about the door itself?
The door is wood, but not 3 feet, so good point. Let's see. You'd have to step a little further along the path, I believe.
Well, Detect Magic's up for 10 minutes, so.
Oh yeah, as you approach, the closer that you get, the more you start to see, specifically through the door, as you shift angles, anything that would be covered by the stone kind of disappears, the outline disappears from your sight. But as you shift about, you see through the door a small variety of shapes, things. Stuff that seems to outline perhaps a bottle, perhaps something circular. There are small flecks of things here and there. It's a variety of either mishmashed or whole schools of magic. Frankly, I would have to go through like an entire potential list of things that are in this hag's lair and figure out which ones are close enough. But there is quite a bit of magic inside, and a lot of it is a little strange.
She'll look at the group. I'm checking for magical effects. Zelda, maybe keep the checking for creatures to you.
I may need to be able to see
It's
them.
way to get
Okay.
And from what Roy said and from what I'm seeing, mundane items, old magic, they might have effects you don't expect. Don't touch anything. Be prepared for some of it to perhaps fly at you or shoot fire or gods know what.
Fun.
And shall we move?
Yep.
She gives like one last sympathetic look to the Pegasus and moves forward.
Okay. You move forward, the path curves one last time to reach the foot of the stairs. And as you reach that, the wooden door suddenly clicks and creaks open.
Into the spider's
voice.
nest.
And a voice comes from inside. Come in, my brave little ducks. Have a seat. Tell me, what can Gladys Knucklebones help you with now?
So it's just like they're like knuckle bones. Huh.
Duckling. Ducks.
Oh, don't linger in doorways. It's rude.
She gives a glance at the group.
I'm gonna go in first.
Alaris will go in.
There
we'll all
we
go.
are.
Okay.
I see we have manners after all. You enter into a dimly lit chamber. It seems that the tower is walled off into portions. You see the foot of some stairs that curve around the inner wall of the tower up and out of sight. There are some what looks like rough fur pelts on the floor as rugs. Long hair, various shades of tan, brown, little black brindling patterns. At a glance or two, some of you may realize that, oh, these look very much like giant hyena rugs. There are some shelves on an opposite wall. A bit of a doorway that seems to have crumbled at the edges, leading through into at a glance, perhaps a storage or maybe kitchen type area. On another wall immediately to the left, there is another doorway with no physical door, but a couple of brightly patterned purple curtains drawn across it to hide the room beyond from sight. Small table next to the door seems to hold a glass orb. There's a chest next to it, and in the center of the room, there is a circular wooden table with chairs arrayed around it, and sitting in one chair, holding a small clay cup and pouring from an iron kettle into 4 more cups. You see the hag, Gladys Knucklebones, with blue-purple skin, the 2 small curling horns, long, tangled, matted black hair running down her back from her high, sloping forehead, the pinched face that is creased into almost a parody of a welcoming smile. Her long clawed fingers set the kettle down and move the other 4 cups to the edges of the table. Sit down. Have a cuppa with me. I knew you'd be coming, so I was prepared, as a good host should be.
We knew you
Oh,
would.
especially for such handsome company. And she's looking directly at Ilaris, and her eyes flick over to Kane next.
Of note, Alsana
see
did warn Alaris about Roy's statement earlier, yes.
I don't know, did it slip your mind?
She said she basically updated them with everything Roy said from
All
that
right.
conversation earlier, so...
Ilaris, you were
Yes.
warned.
Alaris was warned. He's taken.
As it just grips that wedding ring real hard.
Yeah, he's just like, yeah. The whole Bert Kreischer thing. I don't cheat on my wife. He doesn't actually scream it out, but like it just screams in his head.
And so I'll just...
She doesn't need to know, my dear. As despite you not screaming it out loud, she responds to it.
More
Don't
important.
cheat
It's
on
kind
my
of-
wife.
It's kind of fucked up.
Some have thought so, but we all have our little talents.
So,
Besides, nobody comes to me without needing or wanting something.
And what is it that you think we want?
Well,
seem
it's
to know.
always the fun in finding out, isn't it?
and to what do we owe the pleasure of a presentation in forthright form?
Sit down. Tea first. You never talk business without it.
Kane's already seated.
I'm just gonna keep standing. Just
Sounds good.
chairs make me feel shorter. I'd rather stand.
Well, I can always, and she snaps her fingers, and you see the legs of the chair kind of higher.
That's also why I won't sit in that chair, ma'am.
No,
No
Yeah.
offense, of course.
Alsana still has detect match going of note.
You pick up magic from, let's see,
Everything?
yeah, just about every other thing in this room and on this hag seems to be magical. Various trinkets, various bottles and jars. You look around, your eyes catch on... your eyes catch on kind of a larger glass jar on a shelf behind her. It's filled with a sickly yellowish liquid, and suspended in this liquid seem to be 3 eyes of various sizes. The aura it gives off is a blend of necromancy and almost divination magic, as the eyes kind of twitch inside the liquid, following various movements as the party makes them. Another sealed glass jar nearby of what looks like a writhing, oily black substance. A cracked hand mirror propped up on another shelf.
Alsana kind of gives a glance up to those shelves and just... I see there's an audience.
Oh, don't mind those. Those are just little trinkets. Odds and ends.
That's
Keep-
I
Keepsakes?
I do like my knickknacks. Bits and bobs and all that.
It must be hard to get them. It's a fairly removed location.
It can be, but sometimes a tribe in the area might have a little bit of a raid here or there and bring me a few things to show their appreciation.
And yet could well be business partners, yes?
Quite. Well, it's all quite the same. So, what brings you to my doorstep this day?
We have a interest in this land. We're looking for a collection of ruins, once considered long ago to be a bit of a nexus of the world which once thrived in these places.
And a place of powerful magic. Her eyes fix on you.
She nods.
Magic that can be imbued in a person. Well, I may know of a place that fits some of your requirements. Now the question is, if I were to bring you there, or even give you directions, what would be in it for me?
The age-old question, I assume.
Indeed. When you go to a trading of goods and services, it makes sense to put offers on the table. And since, of course, my information is very precious, I see to all of you, I would expect payment in kind from each. What have you to offer?
Well, if we might, before cards are fully placed on the table, perhaps just a bit more knowledge on our business partner. We've heard talk, but things directly from the one we intend to deal with would be better, wouldn't you say?
And who have you heard talk from, my dear?
She thinks,
Alsana, what immediately springs to mind?
she's thinking the orc chief lady, because she's the one who sent them there.
Ah, spreading rumors, are they? And what have they told you?
She narrows her eyes. I'm sorry, I'm not sure who you refer to. You didn't state a name or anything.
I don't need a name to recognize the inhabitants of these plains.
Can Alsana do a quick arcana check on that?
Go ahead.
We saw Roy do this like a couple days ago, right? Like we know this.
27. She knows she's reading his or her thoughts, right?
Clearly.
Yeah. She just nods like, well, you're quite the information gatherer, aren't you?
I do try.
Bit of a cast up before we entered the door. Makes sense.
Wouldn't you do the same?
I mean,
It makes it much easier to cut to the heart of a matter.
she nods. I don't know if I'd be in your exact line of business, although I must say I do have a admiration for the moniker you hold.
What moniker flashes through Alsana's mind?
Which,
Loud and clear, and you see a grin split her face. I can teach you many things if you should choose to return after your little side mission is done.
she nods. So I've heard.
You could achieve much with me.
I've achieved
It's
much
been a
as it is.
while. It's been a while since I've had any form of apprentice or charge. Wouldn't mind the change of pace. It gets so lonely out here. Honestly, I'd extend the same offer, or a similar one, to you, perhaps, my little duck. She looks at Alaris again, kind of leans forwards and bats her eyes.
Taken. in every sense of the word.
I'm aware. That needn't matter, though. Bonds
I don't
can
mean to be
so
rude.
easily be broken.
I don't mean to be rude, but
I start intentionally thinking of Xanthus.
You see her kind of draw back suddenly with a little bit of a hiss. Ah.
Yeah, that's what I
Hmm.
meant.
Well, in that case, what about you? She looks at Kane.
my biggest stake right now is that we get moving with as much speed as possible.
You'd also find, in terms of teaching, he's a bit of a
Done.
boulder.
So, I'm not going to pretend like I'm intelligent enough to outsmart you. I'm not going to try to mince words. What are the kinds of things you seek in a trade? I don't have magics to offer. I don't have a particular set of skills that I can offer unless you want some fish.
You
What is it
carry
that you
us.
expect from us?
Trinkets are always nice. I'm always looking to expand collections on things. And you say you have no skills per se, but
None that I can offer to you.
are you much of a tracker?
Not a fantastic skill, but I know how to hunt.
Have you ever turned your hand towards tracking down a person? Mercenary work, you look like you have the build for it.
Never done it myself, but I'm sure I could if I wanted to. That being said, that's not my desire.
Well, it's not that, I want something retrieved. It's only a small trinket, but I do miss its place in my collection. If you've nothing to offer me immediately.
I'd ask for more details first.
Well, let's see what your friends have to offer first, and we'll return to that.
Alright. That being said, if your offer is not one I'd like to take, I do have a number of trinkets I could offer you instead. I'm sure you can tell from my thoughts or whatever it is that you understand intrinsically with people that I collect things.
Yep. And on the understanding thoughts front, just on the surface of Kane's mind, when he mentions he has a number of trinkets, are there any in particular that come to mind? Just in a
Well,
flash?
the first one he's thinking of is the snowball, the perfect cooking pan, and the throwing knife that always lands on its hilt.
Okay. All right.
That's what it's
I
what he's thinking of.
love that you have just taken full advantage of the random tables, and now that's coming up to this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at my inventory. It's like, what would he offer? Well, he's got like the music box. He can play whatever music, and he's like, I'm sure she likes music. I technically have one Displacer Beast pelt still, as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. We might discuss the rest of you.
I have let's say a wide variety of alchemical ingredients I have collected over time.
Alchemy is a bit of a side hobby of mine. I'm sure that, again, you take my offer, we could exchange many notes.
Yes, and I'm sure there's some samples, judging by the kept things and the undertone of formaldehyde in this room. Brain of an
I
aboleth,
noticed.
bark of a golthius tree.
Well, you've been places. I would consider such a trade of valuable magical items, provided that they're in sufficient portion and quantity to feel fair.
I think I divide reasonably, at least for my own purposes.
She looks down. Where do you carry the unicorn horn?
Probably just a side on her, like hanging from her like belt.
She glances down and jabs a finger at it. And that?
Oh. How did I know?
Is that what I think it is?
She like turns her head. No, depends what you think it is. I don't have the luxury of knowing your forefront thoughts.
She glances at you, her eyes narrow. It is. Oh, how fascinating and freely given. Oh, nicely sidestepped. A curse of a dying unicorn is a terrible thing, and I speak as a connoisseur of curses.
And a connoisseur of celestials from your outside company.
Oh, don't mind Fleabag. He's just this old nag that I keep around to save my old feet from walking too far. Now, the horn of a unicorn would be a very fair trade indeed, especially given the value I perceive of the knowledge I hold. You want to know where this place is. You need to. Interesting. Your eyes turn towards Calda.
Do you want a diamond and a cool marble?
The diamond, obviously, magic for resurrection. The cool marble, remind me.
It literally just is a trinket of a marble that's bigger with a galaxy. I don't know. It's like a slightly bigger marble I found somewhere.
Yes, I remember now. It is a trinket.
Yes. Give you a diamond and a marble.
She looks. Kind of flicks the diamond. Sparkly little thing, but occasionally useful in magic, but not much in what I tend to use.
What about some gems?
If they're not useful, then what's the point? I'm not one to walk around with, well, the trappings of the rich. That's a humanoid measure.
Spell scroll then?
What sort?
More of a helpy one. You say you're more of a curse. This is more of a helpy, but maybe you can help yourself. It's for aid. This is that character's for aid.
Yep, she peers at you and shakes her head. No use to me. Perhaps you could take on this task of mine if, this handsome lad... She reaches over to try to pat Kane on the arm. Is willing to trade some of his things to me instead. And she looks towards Alaris. And what have you?
He'll just pull out the Pearl of Power. Not the Beat of Force, sorry, not the Pearl of Power.
Okay.
Not that. Oh god, no. The Beat of Force.
Oh, now that is an interesting little trinket.
Indeed. I personally have no use for it, but you might.
Well, in that case, it's hardly a fair trade. It's something that you have no use for, and yet you have great use for what I offer. It is a beautiful weapon you hold.
Off limits. Off the table.
Quite powerful. Smile curls the corner of her mouth. How badly do you want this information?
Not for me to decide. And he'll look towards Alsana.
She looked over. Well, you did have interest in the alchemy. And the various things I have. Would that be sufficient for, say, information? Not a full direction, but just knowledge on things to where to go and what to expect along the way. I know under the immaterial persuasion or some sort of commonality. But things further than that, We'd like to know what we're getting into and dealing with if we were to trek out and head towards where we need to find.
I suspect I know where you need to go, but I have never actually been there, merely felt its presence and am aware of it. I could give you such information as I have.
I'm gonna ask, how long have you been in these planes?
Oh, years, who keeps count? She waves a hand.
Was it long enough ago that they weren't in their current state?
Well, all things decay with time. Well, rather, most things decay with time. So no, they weren't in their current state, but they weren't far off.
Brink of collapse, perhaps?
Already collapsed, but perhaps a little bit less so than now. Every storm washes another stone away. But you know all about storms, don't you?
She raised an eyebrow. Has my name been getting around?
No, but I felt a bit of self-satisfaction, shall I say, when I said that.
She nods. Well, she'll get out and start to produce some of her odder alchemical things.
As you do so, the hag's eyes shift across the table again, one by one. And they come back to Calda. For your part, if you would be willing to retrieve a little trinket of mine that found its way out into the world when it should not have.
Do you want 2 diamonds?
Sorry, what did you say?
Do you want 2 diamonds?
Not particularly.
Shit.
Shit.
We find
You see, the little things that I'm referring to might not be as valuable to some as diamonds, but carried a bit of an insult with them. Hardly worth mentioning, except for the sheer gall of the person who took them.
What's the name of the person, at least?
Just a little silver-tongued human man. Oh, what was his name?
I feel like everyone's thoughts go the exact same way there.
And
the
she
ghost-
immediately points and
no.
gets up from her chair. Him! You know him!
Oh no.
He's a right cunt, that's what he is.
Now-
like,
You've seen him. He's here. Where is he? Why can I not? And she races over, grabs up the orb, stares into it for a moment, screams in annoyance, wheels around, and points at you all again. Where is he?
What did he take?
I don't know. What did he take? What did he do?
we're still here for a deal. In concept, it seems information is a trade here. Yes.
She
Yes.
breathes, settles, clutches the orb close.
I will
Especially.
say, Kane is only thinking of absolute restraint against violence right now.
Holden's thinking about kicking right in the balls.
At the forefront of his mind, he's basically like sending the hag on like a wild goose chase. He's here, or maybe he's here, and just like basically like taking a Photoshop of Roy and placing him in all different locations, and just like
Roy in front of a
like,
green
where is
screen.
he? No, come
like
on,
like
no.
a Roy Quest video.
yeah, exactly. Like a where's
Where's
Roy?
Roy?
Like,
And
It's just like that.
Alsana will state, well, now that you are understanding our ability to find him, that means that we have even greater a chance to come across what you've had gone missing, yes? We are now
He
more
is.
valuable to you.
He is slippery.
We're well aware of that fact, don't you worry.
steal, though?
Like,
Was it a
just like
She-
a shudder at the word slippery.
Was it a trinket an actual thing? Do you just want to kick in the balls and that's your trinket?
She sort of slams the little orb down into its holder on the table, and there's a bit of a shudder in the room. I will offer this instead. I will consider all of your side of this deal paid if you can not only return the trinket stolen, but also bring me his eyes.
She kind of glances up at the jar.
Sorry, can I ask
I
you-
had this
thought
odd
just
inkling.
crashed.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
His Discord crashed.
Yeah, sorry, exactly what you just said.
She says that
eyes.
she'll consider all of you paid for in this deal if you bring not only the trinket he stole, but also his eyes.
And also, I'll just look. It's like I had the feeling there was something there. He didn't happen to take yours, did he?
No.
Sorry.
She settles slightly and goes back to her chair. Writes it, sits down. He stole a couple of little toys. Set of bone dice. Silver inlay. Pretty things. I do miss them. Their place on the shelf has never looked the same. She glances over the somewhat
No,
dusty, cobwebby shelves.
There's no other place you could get some like silver dice, or this like sentimental,
I think
or
it's purely sentimental
No.
and revenge.
They- She slaps her hand down on flat on the table. They were mine.
And I ask you this. You say his eyes and the dice would pay for all four of them.
Yes.
How many
Mind
do the
you.
dice pay for?
Mind you, the eyes must be whole.
Of course. But how many do the dice pay for? I
Not
say
as
two
simple
eyes,
as
two
that.
dice. Is it not?
The
Two eyes,
dice.
two dice. Sounds like four people.
No, the dice will pay for one. You're getting a deal, are you not?
By definition, any form of trade is a deal. I'm not sure it's a fair one.
More than fair. He suffers, and 3 of you get passed on that.
oh, so it's like one per eye, one for the whole set of dice, and then one for the suffering.
I feel like
That's
we're,
fucked up math.
I feel like we're going in circles here.
Really does.
Now, upon the location of these dice, are they with him?
I've never been able to find them otherwise, and I've never been able to find him. Yes.
Then where would you have sent us if you had not found out about him? You seem to have at least some sort enough that you could send us on a mission.
No. It would have been until you found him and retrieved my possessions. The deal would stand open. That being said, Alsana specifically, I want you to go ahead and roll a quick history check.
Right. Yeah, alright.
It's just on the spot, flat out. Okay, no,
Fuck me.
nothing comes to mind.
Yep. And she just kind of looks and says, alright, and are you willing to give some information up front then? Because it
No. Payment on delivery. I will not give you hints that may see you, well, gallivant off without fulfilling your end of the bargain.
but we're well aware that you would be able to make us pay up eventually. We're not quite as slippery as him.
Eventually. However, I sense from you there is a time limit. Consider that extra incentive. How long is it you have?
She thinks, and she just says out loud, about to the end of the month.
Ah. Well, then
So if
you'd
you're
best
unable to
hurry
find it-
before he slips off again.
Yes. So it seems we're both on time limits then.
Kane, you were going to say?
Frankly, it seems like this is a poor bargain for us. We risk not getting anything, when instead we could just trade things as individuals. Because if we don't catch him in time, then we don't get to where we need to be in time. Sounds like a deal that's kind of pointless to me.
If
But-
you do not catch him and feel you've lost too much time, then you may return and we will trade items.
Out of character.
Mhm.
Her attention is on Kane, yes.
Currently.
All right. Alsana is just going to breathe out for a moment and then cast 5th level Moonbeam on her.
Yep, I was waiting
Oh,
for
thank
this.
God.
Yep, Kane was waiting for it.
All right. So, in that case, we're going to go ahead and I'll shift you over to the map.
Hey.
Yep. We'll have you guys placed on it.
Yeah, Kane was literally just waiting to be like, okay, who's gonna get
Yep.
tired first? Because he's not drawing the first blow.
Yep.
Aldo was almost there.
Yeah,
Oh, man, I was
if
waiting
it
for
had
it,
gone
guys.
any more wrong for Alaris, he would have also took a swing.
Yep.
All right.
Aldo would have 3 and just bopped her.
Yep. You guys are kind of crowded around the table a little bit right now because
Lovely.
everybody's just right about there.
Yeah, well, Kane is seated and he was within arm's reach. I'm gonna take him as
Yeah,
right there.
he's right.
Yep.
He's about right
Okay.
here.
Calder was standing, so you're good there.
Yep.
All right. Draw your moonbeam while I bring up initiative tracker. We're gonna go ahead and have everybody roll initiative, and we're
Yeah.
gonna use the first round as a surprise round.
Alright.
So the
Plus 3
hag
dexterity.
will not be able to do anything immediately.
I'm at a +3 for dexterity.
Can't before me.
Oh, she is slow.
Slow.
Oh,
My
no.
roll 20 My roll 20 sheet crashed. Give me a second.
Conrad, do you want me to bring
you're
up
having a bad time.
Bad time.
Oh, it's not that. It's just that it closes every once in a while because I have a bunch of tabs open for my assignment. So it's just having difficulties loading Discord and Roll20 at the same time.
Do you want me to just in case he's pull it up, Conrad?
No, it doesn't take too long to pull it up.
Okay. Not just in case he's too late.
Oh. I'm happy. I'm happy.
Oh. Ew.
That horse
The
looks so
rug,
sad.
the rug really finna choke us. If we have to kill the horse, I'm gonna cry.
Oh.
I think I can deal with it.
Subdue
deal with it.
pony boy.
I want to give it a hug.
Oh, Alaris is before Calda. He's a quick boy.
So
So,
also
Alsana, you just cast Moonbeam. We're going to use that as your first action. You went first anyway. Everybody else
I get
immediately
fucked on that
springs.
so much.
I'm sorry. All right,
Which I
fine.
don't understand because you don't have a very high initiative score.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, all
Anyway,
of us have higher dexterity than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you just roll really well. I can't
Roll well.
speak. Ugh. Okay. I will trade you this instead of a general surprise round, because she might not have been too surprised by a sudden attack. We'll just say that you cast Moonbeam and then you get an action.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
it's just
Moonbeam kicks off.
my
It's-
only problem is like if she had rolled in 7 on initiative, she would have gotten the moonbeam off and then gotten action, and we would still be in a surprise round.
I suppose. No, I was gonna. No, wait. I was gonna say that was your first action in the surprise round, but
Okay.
yeah, that doesn't make sense if you had rolled lower than everybody else. Everybody else was waiting on you.
Yeah, exactly. So
alright.
that's why I'm kind of like, this is kind of messy.
You're right. It really is. I'm trying to
If you
play
want-
with the surprise round thing, but yeah. Okay, surprise round is happening anyhow. Hold on while I get the pre-initiative Moonbeam saving throw. What is that? I always forget. It's Constitution.
Constitution. Okay.
Alright.
fair.
Seven roll.
Con save, baby.
You see, 8.
Save.
Oh,
23.
That'll 20.
20.
Okay.
All right.
So she takes
However,
half.
half. All right.
80.
26 halved 13 because round up, basically. So
Yeah.
So, 13 radiant damage. She does not seem to be vulnerable to it by any means, but she doesn't seem to resist it either. However, she does seem very. The magic almost seems to wash off her. Half of it seems to not half of it, but some of it seems to glance away as
She's
she's
not
able
shape
to take it a
changer,
lot
is
better.
she?
No, she's not. She doesn't count as a shape changer in terms of type. That is a type thing.
Yep, just making sure.
Yeah, she counts as a fiend, not fiend / shape changer. So,
Fine by me.
Fiend.
all right. So, your first action. What are you doing on your turn?
She is going to. Okay. Let me open the. You know what? You know fucking what?
Hmm.
No fucking what.
What have we got?
I'm feeling wacky.
Ooh.
Let's get weird with it, though.
She's
She's
going. She's going to pull out the wand of wonder.
Oh.
Why?
Oh,
Oh no. Why would
Wait.
you
yeah,
do
that's
that?
fun things.
Wait, no. I'm sorry. It's attunement. I forgot it was attunement. She wouldn't have it on her.
It is attunement to control it. It still acts like a normal wand of wonder without attunement. You just cannot choose. You can't roll twice and choose, I believe.
Okay.
I hate that sentence.
I varied it basically in order to make it a little bit more controllable. It depends. Oh wait, maybe it does require attunement by a spellcaster. Hold on a second.
It says just right at the top. Requires attunement. That's
Yeah.
faster.
Hold on. Let me make sure that I didn't add that for the ward bit by looking up the actual wand.
Actually, okay, no.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking
Yeah.
at another thing too. It's because if I aim at her and it's centered on her, I might hit all of us with something. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
It does require attunement by a spellcaster normal. My mistake. I'm sorry.
Yep, no problem. All right. In that case, let me just recheck my spells. She is going to cast. Yeah. She's going to go for erupting earth.
Nice.
Okay.
Um,
So,
So that would be
got
a
it.
20-foot cube.
It's thick.
Makes difficult terrain. Is there anything in there about casting it inside a structure?
Not really.
Nope.
All right. The
So
floor is
that's,
made of stone, so sure.
that's 20 on all sides. So yeah, let's give her one of these.
That is only 15 on one side. Do you want to scooch it
Oh,
up
my
one
bad.
this way?
Yep.
I assume.
Yep.
You're not hitting the party with this.
Shape. It's green now. Who cares?
It works. All right.
So I need her and anything that might be in range, because who knows? Make a dexterity save.
All right.
This is magic.
Save. It's only a 12.
All right, so 3d12 bludgeoning.
Go for it.
Boom.
And you know what? She's going to do 2 harvest scythe as well,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
because I don't think she's going to be getting a lot of her failing saves. So this is necrotic. I'm kind of guessing she resists necrotic, but who knows? Still 18.
All right. She actually doesn't seem to resist it.
Oh, okay. I'll take it.
Okay.
And
All right.
then she's going to just take a few steps back.
Okay. Calda.
Alaris, he has higher sex.
Yeah, I have the higher.
Ah.
dex.
My bad. Elaris.
I will hold up the. I will basically. Ilaris will hold out his hand and he'll go. You're not the only one proficient with curses, and he'll use Hexblade's curse.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. And
I'm
he
sorry if
will-
we curb stomp her completely, Ariel.
You might. You might.
Yeah.
You're pretty
so-
much getting 2 full rounds because she rolled last in initiative.
3 bonus to
Yep.
damage roll, a +3 bonus to damage rolls.
Yep.
On top of everything else.
One of
And I
the
scored a
two.
critical hit on a roll of 1920.
Yep.
Etc.
Go for it.
And I will go for 2 hits with the great axe.
Okay.
Also, 2 of the physical guys, don't be afraid to try to knock her prone. It's difficult
Oh,
terrain where she
13.
is.
So
So
Oh,
15
keep her in
damage on
the
the
same
first
spot.
hit.
18 hits.
So 15 damage on the first hit, +3 because of Hexblade's curse.
Yes, indeed. 17
11
just hits.
Yeah, 11 damage on the second hit.
Okay.
You do
Oh
have-
my god.
You do have the holy oil if you want, though. Saving for a crit probably helps, but just a reminder.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
I don't think she'll last long enough for a crit, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, you know what? Let's throw the holy oil on that first hit.
Okay. Go ahead and roll the 2d8.
8.
8 damage. Okay.
So 15 plus 8, and then another
I got it.
11. Yeah.
As the magic and the great axe just carve and burn through her, and she shrieks at you. Calda.
I'm climbing onto the table.
Yeah!
Oh god.
Oh Christ, she rolled a 3.
Yeah.
She did.
No,
I'm
no, no.
gonna use
That's
my,
why I'm almost tempted to not make it a surprise round because, dear God.
I'm gonna use my bonus action. My whole
Oh,
amenity.
okay.
I'm gonna hit her.
Okay.
23 to hit.
Yes.
No,
I'm
I
gonna
love
hit
going
her.
Nova.
28 to hit.
Yeah.
I'm dropping my own smite.
And the additional smite?
No, it's my own. I said I'm dropping my own smite.
Are you gonna do both, though?
No!
12.
I'm saving the 3rd level spell slots and that for a crit. Come on, bro.
Yeah, crit.
Okay, fair.
Okay. You start carving into her. She's already looking real bad.
I'm gonna stuff my diamonds back in my pocket and flip her off.
Free action. Okay.
Kane's just gonna pull out the sword and just be like, yeah, you really suck at making deals. I'm gonna start with a bonus action on his turn to make a fainting attack, so he gets automatic advantage on the first attack.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be advantage, and he's gonna do this as a booming blade attack.
Okay.
Oh, kinda hot.
So that's Sword of Thorns, booming blade with advantage. It also does the superiority dice of extra damage. I believe so.
Conrad.
Is that a crit?
That's
Yeah,
crit.
Yeah.
okay.
So
That's-
re-roll
that's
the
double booming
d10
blade
for
damage.
feigning. Re-roll the d10 for fainting attack as well, because that's a crit. That's attached.
Yep. D10 additional.
You have your holy oil.
Oh.
It's on arrows, not a sword.
Ah, right.
It is.
Booming blade. That's what. Wow! Wow!
Nine.
Kinda hot.
Hold on.
You know
Booming
what?
Blade. The initial booming
Technically-
blade damage is doubled, so roll another d8.
Yep, that's just disappointing.
Wow, you rolled all
no.
ones.
Yeah.
Oops,
I'm gonna
all
roll
ones.
3 just in case she moves, just to
Uh-huh.
have them there. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll just count the first one for right now.
Yep. And with that, I'm also gonna drop an Orcish Fury, so that's 2 additional damage dice.
Does the additional thunder count for a critical? Because I thought it was only on the melee attack damage.
It's all damage dice for the attack.
Yeah, but it's a spell, not an attack.
It is
It's
an attack.
both.
It's part of the attack action. Part of the action to use the cast a spell, you must make a melee attack.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the spell fails. So yeah, I'm
Yep.
gonna say it does.
Also, it says the
I'm
target
gonna
suffers the
say-
attack's normal effects.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, by the way, there's additional
yeah.
2 Orcish Fury. Gonna mark that as done. Gonna mark off my superiority dice that I used, and then I'm gonna action surge.
Don't bother. How do you want to do this?
Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
so
Well then.
just you make a really shitty deal and just take the sword and effectively underhand grip and pretty much throw it through her face to pin her to the wall behind her.
Okay. You do so, and this boom of energy as you throw it, and the sword impales her face. The shelving unit and the wall behind her, knocking several various jars, books, magical or mundane implements that look strange and nonsensical onto the floor with clatters and crashes.
And she's gonna turn to Alsana and go, I assume no complaints if I steal everything.
I'm giving a check first, but also she's probably not alone.
As there is not a damn thing she can do. She is dead. There is no returning.
Round of combat.
Am I just, like,
That's
taking the
a
tea
over on her?
round of
I didn't
combat.
even get. Guys, I didn't even get to use her lair actions.
We just
Yeah.
mafia'd her.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Immediately curb stomped her.
That's the danger of using one enemy, honestly.
The
Well,
thing
she-
is,
Laura rolled a lot of initiatives. I don't know what you're talking about.
the thing is, Alsana, real quick, what are you doing?
She's on the back. She's just keeping the thing going, and she's looking out because
Damn it.
as she's.
He's muted. He left.
Sorry.
I thought it was over.
Sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I had muted earlier. I was looking something up. There seems to be grounds for the additional booming blade not critting, but anyways. She said before, don't be
Honestly,
so. Don't be
honestly, it doesn't matter if the initial booming blade didn't crit. He overkilled her so badly with all the stuff
Yep,
he
no,
dropped.
yeah, that's fine. I'm just that's why I was looking up. Anyways, she said before, but no one heard it. It's Kane said, UK with me rating everything. She goes, I'd like to check everything first, but also I don't think she's alone. So she is keeping an eye out, making
Yeah,
sure
the
everything
last
is
stuff-
quiet.
He flips on the eyes of the eagle and just takes a look around.
Kane,
will
it is.
remove his sword
Hold
from the
on, hold
face.
on, hold on,
Oh, okay.
hold on here.
Gotcha.
Alsana, you're keeping an eye out.
She will
Laura.
hold a swing of her scythe if anything gets in range of her.
Okay. Fun fact. There is a sudden snarl and growl and scrabbling claws from the curtained off area as a large black dog with 2 heads comes scrambling out and lunges for Alsana. Go ahead and make your scythe swing.
Alright. Just normal.
A 7 does miss.
Yep. Alright. This is not a
As
reveal.
Yep, it ducks underneath the swing and then lunges up
Disadvantage.
towards you. Yep, disadvantage because of your cloak. So that's a 15.
15 still hits.
Okay, and the cloak's effects end for until I believe the start of your next turn.
Yep.
As one head bites down. Constitution saving throw, both against the disease.
Do con save on disease. 9.
Yep, you are considered diseased. Every 24 hours, you'd have to repeat the saving throw, reducing
I'm
hit
poisoned
points
until then.
by a D10 on a failure. So,
She's officially feral.
oh, I suspect that the first time you fail, you do take the D10 hit point reduction. You would take it again in 24 hours if it's not cured, but I'm sure it will be. So, it is rolling the dice. It's being a little slow. Please excuse. In the meantime, 8.
Alright.
Hit point maximum down by 8 currently.
Alright, so she takes 8 and 8. Got it.
Yep. And the second head also tries to bite. Normal attack. It is only an 8. All those
Yep.
8s, so many. And the second bite misses as you just swing your arm out of the way. Ilaris.
Yes, and he will prep a branding smite,
Okay.
and he will go for 2 attacks on the. He will move up. And he'll go for 2 attacks on the big old dog.
Okay.
Ugh. That one works.
Yep. Okay. 27 definitely hits for 10 slashing damage and 20 radiant. It takes it all. As the great axe carves into its side, and there's a sudden, in duel, yelp and snarl from the 2 heads of the dog that wheels around to face you. But doesn't have a chance to do anything, of course, because it's not its turn.
Yes.
Is that all for you?
Yeah, that's all for now.
Okay, Calda.
I jump off table.
Off the table.
I'm gonna hop off and I am going to unfortunately hit the doggy.
Logie.
Let me turn advantage off. There we go. Okay, I'm going to hit doggy 1.
Is the doggy?
26 to hit.
How do you want to do that?
Of course.
I hit the doggy, sadly.
It hurts your heart, but this thing has 2 heads, and there is this weird yellowish red foam dripping from one of the mouths where it bit Althana. So yeah, this dog has to be put down.
I'm sorry, you have rabies.
Yikes.
Called a rush.
I'm very tired.
Therefore,
Ty's
Russia.
Russian. No, Ty's Russian right now.
No, I've got assignments to do. I'm Russian.
Stop.
I'm literally okay.
Alright.
That's it because that's part of my action, and I don't have.
Okay.
I tipped the teapot over on the dead hag.
Disrespect, you're so right.
As from the upper room, you hear more snarls and scrabbling claws. 10, 20, 30. Flies up onto the table in front of you, Kane, and 2 snarling, drooling doggy heads try to bite out at you. So that's a 16 to hit. Nope. Both of them, the teeth kind of slide and clatter off of your armor.
Alright.
Okay, what would you like to do?
It's gonna walk around to here, remove sword from hag face.
Mhm.
Probably, like, flick the gunk off it.
Yep,
And
okay.
he is going to... Yeah, because I couldn't have reposted because I didn't have my weapon on me. Yep, okay, so he's going to make an attack, 2-handed.
Alright.
It's going to
That
be a
hits.
distracting strike. So next other person to make an attack against it has advantage.
Okay.
He's going to follow up with a second 2-handed attack, no extra effect. Oh, sorry.
Alright.
These should not be advantage, should they?
No, they should not. However, the first is the same, the second is the same. Don't worry about it.
Alright. And kind of glancing at it, he's just gonna shrug an action surge because he didn't end up using it before like he expected.
Okay,
And this one's gonna be Booming Blade.
go ahead.
That hits. Yep, that
Yeah.
hits.
How do you want to do that?
Similar thing, I basically just take the sword and pin the dog to the table.
Yep, there is a... Blood and
This time
foam
okay.
bubbles from the mouth.
This time he'll take the sword back.
Okay. Alright. Is that it for your turn?
I believe so. Let me just make sure I marked off all my things correctly. Yep, go for it.
Okay. Althana, the 2 dogs are dead.
Althana like looks down at her arm with the stuff and goes, "Oh, that'll be a spell slot." She's going to.
Yeah, there is a burning throb. It's very distracting.
Yep. Did the hyena not care about the difficult terrain out of curiosity?
I did count off the doubled movement.
Okay.
It did slow it down, but it had a lot of speed.
Okay. She's going to. Kane's in Moonbeam.
Oh god, Kane?
Can you read Moonbeam?
Kane, in order to get the sword out, you had to go into Moonbeam.
Yeah, fair point.
Go ahead and make
Take
your
the
con
damage.
save.
Yeah.
Make the con save. You roll the damage, Althana. Oh god, I missed that.
That was a 5th level.
Yep. Half damage.
Yeah,
Yeah, roll the damage, please.
I'm scrolling up.
Okay.
I think it's just 5d8.
I'm not used to friendly
Yeah,
fire
16.
happening.
Connor, you walked into that.
I just forgot about it, honestly.
I think we all did.
So
I was
34 half.
17. I was gonna say it, and then I'm just like,
Yeah, no, Kane's got a lot of HP, y'all. Yeah, he
Alsana,
would've- in that case, he would have taken his bonus action to second wind.
Okay.
And step back out after, because I just forgot
Sure
about the
thing.
circle.
Sure thing. Alsana, you look over, and Kane is faintly steaming.
She saw him like walk in, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
She lightly
Grab the
chuckles.
sword, hit the
Yeah,
dog a few times.
Just shrugged it, it's like, don't worry, I'm not blaming you for that one.
This is also a question. Did Alsana roll concentration on her moonbeam?
Ooh, good point.
Ooh, good point.
Good.
She took 8 damage.
Yes,
Okay.
she's,
Yep, yeah,
that's
so-
still up.
Just because Kane would have
that's
taken it, and it was an entire fucking
Yeah.
thing.
Anyways, she just chuckles and goes, I don't care. And she's going, yeah, you know what? Why not? Lesser restoration on herself.
Okay. As at
Let's
this
just
point,
stop that.
actually. Yep. You end the poison. You end the disease, I believe.
Yeah, she just like does a line of the ash against it and just kind of like it floats out with the gross stuff.
All right. With that, it goes fully quiet. You stand around tensely, looking and expecting more, but it seems that the hag and her 2 death dogs were the only things here. At least the only hostile ones.
Oh. Well then,
Can you get rid of that moonbeam before anyone else walks into it?
she dismisses it.
Yep.
I
believe-
mean, it's not hard to miss.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I just wanted my sword back.
You were right there.
I'm half considering like the moonbeam like does this like holy chorus as it exists, just like ah.
That no.
Um,
Alrighty, should we check the place out? There's an upstairs.
I think we shall. I have a. She goes and she pulls out the book.
Okay.
If you guys want to check down here, also with your magic, I'm gonna make sure nothing's dangerous upstairs still.
1 second. She.
Yell if you
she-
need anything.
Yep, she checks the book.
All right. The book is intact and unchanged, it seems. At least so far.
She'll write in just, are you still there?
I am.
There's just ... The hag is dead.
Good, and it's underlined 3 times. And then after another line, I've been thinking, poking around in a manner of speaking. This book once belonged to a hag. I think I took its words and cleared them. But I've been trying to go over it. What memories, what imprints were there. I think I know how to fix myself.
By all means. She writes in.
There is a ritual that seems like it will restore me. It needs the hag's body. It's good that you killed her.
That we have what needs to be done.
And over time, as everybody else kind of pokes around the various rooms, and we'll get there in a moment, you read through this kind of spelled out magical ritual. It'll take you probably about 10 minutes or so to cast, perhaps a bit longer to set up, so we'll be able to cover any exploration or looting of the tower while Alsana is implied to be doing this. It involves the hag's body, drawing a circle on the floor with her blood, and incanting magic over it.
Also, will also just add, as the party goes, just like, be careful with things. I need to do this. Give a look around. Don't touch anything too much before I check it. I can only remove so many curses in a day.
I can remove 2 per day.
Out of character, do you have Greater Restoration?
I have remove curse.
You have Remove Curse. Okay.
I also can cure diseases with lay on hands.
Yeah, she just might be like, well then, do you want to go give a look out to that, we'll deal with it later, actually.
Yeah, you can talk to it.
Yep. So she's going to start setting it up, and with a word of warning, let the group go and loot about.
All right, looters. Go ahead and everybody wants to be involved in this roll and investigation check.
Okay, I'm not good at those.
Not that good at those either. Nope. Of course. not.
Better.
I was. Yeah.
Conrad, is Conrad
Can,
out?
can,
I-
yeah, can someone give me a 1d20 plus 1?
I told you for whoopsies. 1d20. Can someone just add 1 to it?
Yeah, what was the one today?
9.
That's a 9.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
tracks.
Well,
Yeah, I will say, Kate wasn't being specific. He was basically going to just, kind of like he wanted to do in the cave forever ago, hand on bookshelf, open bag of holding, just shovel.
Will Bag of Holding respond to the shit we found in the hag's house? Is that specific enough?
Yeah.
respond
He can
to?
always split inside out.
And then everything.
Yeah.
I don't mean he'll do it like
I'll say
whenever he needs it. At some point he'll.
I'll
open
say that
box.
even if you don't know specifically what something is, you reach into the bag of holding with something like this weird like oily black liquid jar that I found in the hag's house. This mirror I found in the hag's house. I'm gonna say that the jar of eyes actually broke when the hag fell against the shelving unit. The sword pierced it. And actually, as you drew the sword out, you might not have noticed, but it seems like the magic just dissipated and the eyes and liquid burned away into nothing. There's still a faint, like, blue fire smolder going, but it quickly goes out.
Okay.
Also, Alsana will take that black thing around the hag's neck, I assume.
Okay, yeah, you're able to get that. There's a little bit more on the hag's body. Go ahead and you do an investigation check as you were dragging the body around.
All right, she flips the glasses
In the
on.
meantime, Kane, if Conrad, whoever is in the thing, if you want to add like a list of things from the hag, make a little category hag house items
Sure.
in the bag of holding or in whatever list you're going to keep since your roll 20 keeps crashing out.
Yeah, I'll do it in party. Mode.
I can do it.
Yep.
I'm bookkeeper for the loot at least, but up to you.
Whoever wants to do it, I will give you vague
Yeah, either way,
descriptions
sure.
of things, but you don't know what they do.
Yeah, you're just having trouble there, Kane, is the only thing.
Well, as long as I don't tab out of the roll 20, I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so go ahead. I got it.
All right. So, sealed glass jar of writhing, oily black liquid.
I should probably mute, shouldn't I? My
That's
typing
okay.
is super loud.
A cracked hand mirror. Oddly, whoever picks this up and takes a look at it, these were obvious things in the room that you guys noticed when you first came in. There seems to be... You see your reflection, but there seems to be like a shadowy figure standing just behind you. Let's just say a stack of papers. You don't really rifle through them, you just grab them and shove them in the bag. There is a book, kind of roughly bound in leather. That just goes into the bag. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 potions. All of them, oddly, various shades of red. I do want those potions to be kept track of as coming from the hag's lair for flavor purposes. Even after they're identified and maybe split up
I was
among
gonna
the
say,
party.
do you want me to mark down those potions? Alsana would probably just take them eventually.
I will say, the whole thing is in a separate tag of Hag House.
Yeah. Let's just leave them on that list for now. But remember they're there. Let's see. There is a tiny dream catcher, very fragile. It seems to be woven from like spider webs almost. There is an amethyst ring. And let's see. Yeah, I think that's about everything that's actually on shelves and looks interesting. That you guys find.
Olson had 12
If
on
she
the
had-
body,
if
by
she-
the way.
If she has any books, by the way, can I just add all of her books? He's got a library that he wants to make donations to.
The
Gonna
one book
die.
in there's the one book in particular. There might be a few others. Alsana, you find a very small, heavily tarnished silver bell. You find a candle of black wax, kind of stumpy and half melted.
Are you getting this down, Conrad, or should I?
These are things Alsana specifically is finding on the hag.
All right, I'll.
I was about to ask you as in the middle of the meeting.
Yep,
Yeah.
I'll mark that down then.
Okay.
Okay, silver bell. Sorry, what kind of candle?
Black wax candle. Excuse me. And you get to the stone, the black stone on a silver chain there. And you find a bag that seems to be very roughly made of various like stitched together hides. You also find a extremely ornate silver key with a sapphire set below the loop at the top that's meant for a key ring. So,
All right.
I believe that's what you guys actually come across. So yeah, have fun with that. Just keep in mind, when you guys do try to identify stuff, remind me that it came from the Hag's Lair.
Yep.
Oh, actually, one of the red potions did have one label. However, the label is simply laughter.
Oh, that's gonna be fun.
With a quick glance around, by the way, does Alsana, just giving a look around, see anything in like different scripts, like any weird languages or languages she might not know?
You're currently very busy setting up a ritual.
Okay.
Glancing around, you wouldn't be poking into books or papers or
Yeah,
corners.
yeah, no, I just mean
Yeah,
like, are there any
no.
like labels or any like
Um,
shelf
nope.
type things
Nope.
or anything? Okay.
And nothing out in the open.
All right.
And basically, the search went through all the various rooms that you guys went through. Back here is about where you found most of the potions. Seems to be a little bit of a almost kitchen-y storage area. Oddly enough, there is like a hyena head mounted on the wall over here.
Any name?
Huh?
Name on the hyena head?
No.
Aw.
In here, there's a hearth, a cauldron, another small table, some firewood stacked against the wall, a hammock packed with straw that seems to be used for sleeping, and a little bit of a caged-off area over in this corner.
Anything in the cage?
No, nothing living. Various small animal bones and things like that.
Stains
Some
on the
hay,
ground.
a bucket, stains on the ground. Yep, and on the walls. All right. So, is anybody else getting up to anything else? I will say that exploring the upstairs, it's kind of a lot more of the same, but relatively more empty, and there's a broken-in rubble surrounded window, and then the stairs kind of crumble, and there is no third floor accessible.
Yeah, Alsana says, maybe on the other floor, let me give a look around with better eyes. It's one thing if we're all on the same and we can help each other,
Clang,
but
clang, 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 clang.
what's
Oh,
the clang?
sorry. I just came dropping shit. as he's,
What are you
shoving it in his
doing?
bag. You said I could loot!
What are you doing?
Taking everything I find and putting it in my bag.
Are you just shoving it in?
Yeah, you figured you can look at it later.
There's a difference between loot and ransack.
Who cares? She's dead.
I care, and you should care in case anything blows up in your face, you idiot!
Well, if it blows up in my face, I saved you guys from it.
We have to
That's not
revive
it.
your stupid ass.
I have the diamonds. We just got them back.
Yeah.
And you want to go through that, Calda?
No!
Well then, tell him to stop.
Okay. Slow down.
I'll slow down. I'm still taking everything.
Take it gentlier.
How about this? I'll take the bag and I'll put the bag over top it rather than drop it into the bag. That way
Just
it doesn't move very
leave
much.
everything out. We can categorize.
It's a bit late for that, I'm gonna be honest with you. I asked you first. You cannot blame me for this one. I specifically asked you if I could just take shit.
Kane, you ask things and then you do things wrong.
Then don't tell me I can do them. I asked, can I steal everything? You said yes.
Do you want me to just not trust you with anything? Do you want me
I
to...
assumed that was already happening, just to be clear. Regardless, everything's already taken from the upstairs. Are we gonna go check on that horse?
How about you go write everything down before your memory deletes it in the next 20 seconds about what you took?
Oh, I could just pull out stuff from the thing, but sure, and you reach into the bag, expect a clipboard.
Roll your d20.
If I get a fucking 20 on this. God, this is what...
It's a nice clipboard.
Pretty nice clipboard, man.
Got a good snap to it.
Yeah. He'll take that, take a bunch piece of paper that he's had from leftover letters and shit, and just like write everything down. Like, oh, laughter potion, cool. Put it
yeah.
back in.
Yep. Not only does the clipboard nice quality, has a good snap, but it also actually has a little attachment on the side to hold a small pot of ink, and a little clip at the top to set your quill when you're done writing.
Oh, perfect. That's actually like really useful. He'll do that, write it all down, and go, okay, it's all categorized. Do you want me to do the same thing down there?
Let's leave it for now.
I won't take them. I can just write it down.
Fine.
All right. He'll just walk.
Let's
around,
have
like,
Calder go with you, shall we?
I mean, sure, I can hold her up to the shelves that are kind of high, but
Oh, that'd be fun. I think those shelves kind of tall.
yeah, here, hop on my shoulders.
Alrighty.
Yep. Carries her and just like clerks everything.
I'm just dragging things to the side so that it can visualize the ritual space. I can assume that you just kind of dragged tables and chairs and rugs away, and you have it set up in the center of this nice open bit of floor.
Yep.
Maybe a bit away from the rubbled earth so that you can draw the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so how long does it take, sorry?
It takes you a little bit to set things up, and then it takes about 10 minutes of the actual magic casting, incantation, and so forth. We'll say a comfortable 15-20 max minutes overall.
Alright. Does it cost her anything spell slot wise or anything?
No, it does not.
Alright. Should make a check.
As you go ahead and you start to, it's an unfamiliar sort of magic. You've never really cast anything quite like this before. It feels a lot like transmutation magic, honestly. But there's just enough of a undercurrent of necromancy that you start to think, yeah, this is almost, but not quite, resurrection, but in a weird way. Where between that and the transmutation, it seems to be taking the body of the hag as if it was a broken piece of pottery, and somehow reversing that fired clay pot into raw clay, and then reforming it, and then filling it with another soul. It is strange, it is weird. You are doing your best to follow along, kind of glancing back at the book occasionally, just to make sure you're getting things right, as it sits open in your other hand. You can feel this building energy in the book. It's warm in your palm as you go on with this ritual. 5 minutes into it, it starts to glow very faintly, little wisps of light flowing off of it like water or fog. It starts to tremble very slightly about 7 minutes in. About 8 minutes in, you start to hear almost an echoing whisper of the words you speak. And your fingers are starting to leave trails in the air as you make the arcane motions that are described in the book, and which solely through the ritual start to feel more and more natural as they repeat over and over again. Go ahead and, yes, make a spellcasting check, but it is with advantage, as it almost seems like the book is helping you.
Right. So that's just wisdom?
Yep.
Alright. She probably couldn't have guided herself, huh?
No, this is a 10-minute long ritual, and, well, you know what? You could have guidance yourself at the start of it. I'll allow it.
Alright.
Go ahead. Yeah. Yep.
And 28.
8. As the ritual builds to a crescendo, light starts to glow red and brilliant from the streaks of half-dried hag blood forming the circle on the floor. Those of you who are perhaps still upstairs, perhaps just coming down, you see this glow and you hear Alsana's voice, doubled up almost, and echoing through the room, almost seeming to layer over and over itself, as the book in her hands begins to glow almost a blinding white light. Alsana, it grows hot. And just as you're about to drop it because you can't bear it anymore, the sudden light and heat wrenches away from the book and slams into the hag's body. It lifts off the ground, limbs out, head back, almost seeming like it's gasping for breath suddenly before the light vanishes and darkness remains. There's a faint sense of motion, of dim forms in the center of this, as the body suddenly contorts, crumples in on itself, and then expands again. And there's a the darkness fades, and the body that had lifted up off the ground rises, tips upwards, and then settles again on 2 whole feet. The body is towering, double the height of a normal humanoid, lanky long limbs and a hunched back. The book lifts out of your hand, Alsana, and floats towards the figure, who reaches out spindly fingers to grasp it and draw it in close. The twisted, malformed, ugly face looks down on it, smiles, and looks over at you and says, "Oh, thank you so much, Alsana, my dear friend," as you look upon the enormous form of a second hag. "Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Granny Nettle,
She kinda
and
lets
I
it
thank
aside.
you dearly for agreeing to help me." She flips the book around, open to a page, and you see words in your own handwriting shining out at you. Hers as well. "I could use some luck. I've been short on it for a long time, apparently. Well, count me as your first bit. I need you to promise me something. Keep me safe. Defend me from danger. Don't tell the hag about me." "By all means, I promise." "I can trust you to do as I ask here, can't I?" "Of course, absolutely." "I'd be more than willing to get you on your feet. I will take any help you can offer me. I'd be happy to help you. I'd be happy to help you get out, but you owe me stories once I do. It's a deal." And at the bottom, your little sign-off squiggle and a little black heart. And that's where we're going to go ahead and end today's session.
Hey.
Can she get an unanswered question in?
You can Yeah, go ahead.
Should I trust you?
She just smiles. Well, you can trust me to hold up my end of the bargain. I owe you some stories. But you seem to have promised me a little bit extra as well. And that'll be it. All right, till next time. We
Yeah.
get to see what happens with this.
Oof.
Asana.
What the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck? Like, this seems like specifically the kind of shit you'd make fun of us for doing.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I started getting a bad gut feeling in midway through this session, and I'm like, what's going on? Why am I feeling like this? And then I went, fuck the book.
Yeah, no, as soon as it was like, it uses the hag's body, I'm like, okay, no, I was pretty sure what was going down, but goddammit, Alsana wanted to know.
All right, is the recording over? Are we done
It's
for
about
next
to
week?
be.
All right.
Okay.
Till next time.
Till next time.